This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remus.
Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Heading into the weekend, Andrew Paterson, soon to be joined by Hrabchak. And we got a big game day edition of WST for you. Well, the week in the CFL is underway. Montreal smashing Ottawa last night to nobody's shock or surprise. Jeff Hamilton's going to join us. We'll talk a little on that. The rest of the CFL coming off of a great edition of CFL 110, which of course is available at the YouTube channel. If you didn't check it out earlier this week, we'll talk Bombers. We will talk the rest of the league, maybe get some thoughts on a few hockey topics as well with Hammer. And then before Ed Tait joins us for some more Bomber talk and the latest on the squad from Edmonton as they get ready for kickoff tonight, 8:30 our time at Commonwealth, we are going to talk to Winnipeg's Jackson Tuchinski, who is just back from Germany after winning the bronze medal and booking their ticket to the Olympic Games with Paul Appolice's men's national team for Canada in flag football. Jackson, of course, incredible quarterback for the University of Manitoba for the last 4 seasons. Also played on the basketball team. I think part of the just the great all-around athlete that he is what's made him the flag player that he is. But we're going to talk about the experience. I mean, going to camps with Edmonton and Winnipeg and then transitioning to flag football for Lapo and obviously getting the job done on what should have been, what I imagine was an amazing experience over in Germany. So lots of football talk, and we will get into some NFL talk as well. Of course, the preseason continues. Many of you are doing your fantasy drafts right now. I know I had a couple this week. Lee Hacksaw Hamilton later on in the show with the NFL Notebook. And then we will get into marbles. We'll do a regular marble race for everyone watching the program. And then we're actually, like we did last week for one of my leagues, right afterwards, we're going to run a second race to determine the fantasy football draft order for the Winnipeg Media League. I'm very much looking forward to that to finish off the program. So great to have you all with us. All you podcast listeners, appreciate you making us a part of your routine. And what is up to the gang in the chat live on YouTube today? Great to have you all with us. Hit that sub button and make sure you are subscribed to the channel and hit that thumbs up button as well, if you don't mind. All right, without further ado, let's get this show on the road and welcome in Hrabchak. Connor, what's up? How are you?
I'm doing great, Huss. We did it. We made it to Friday, and yes, a Bombers game day edition of WST. Fired up to be here. Bombers Elks, big one for the blue and gold. You know, coming off the bye, they beat Ottawa, but this is a big step up in terms of competition, going on the road, playing the #1 team in the West. So bit of a later one tonight, 8:30 start, maybe more like 8:37, 8:40-ish when it actually gets going on kickoff. But looking forward to this one, a late Friday night game against the top team in the West.
You know what? For Friday night games on the road, I think 8:30 is my favorite time.
It's rare,
like
but
the
it's
9:30
good.
games can get a little late and get a little loose and whatever. I'm here for it. But you know, with the 8:30 game, you can rip out, you know, if you're done work at 4, you can get a round of golf in before the game if you want. You can go out for dinner, you can do those sorts of things, and then you're still there, 8 o'clock, kind of settling in for the game, goes through to 11:30, still got time to wind down, do whatever. The early games, you know, it's done, and then, you know, there's sometimes a rush to get out for the 6 o'clock or the 6:30 starts. 7:30 obviously is great, you know, for the central time zone, but that's where we are at. Right. I got to say, Friday night in the summer, 8:30 games, might be my favorite of the entire Bomber Road schedule.
I am thinking of our friends over at Bonfire Sports with a later start. You know, they Schnitzy and Bombing usually go pretty long on the post game, so they'll be going deep into the night. Same with the CJOB post game; they go for a little bit after. So these later games, especially like for hockey season, I'm always thinking of Ken and Sean going deep into the night on a Tuesday night game against the Kings or whatever, right? So it should be a great one. Looking forward to this game tonight. And of course the post-game show for Bombing and Schnitzy. Always locked into that as well.
But by the way, I just quickly, speaking of the chat, I see our guy Jet Oil Tom as weighed in. Now, I have been telling everyone that if you want a great day to go out to the Assiniboia Downs, it's Monday. Monday, they've got the Monday Madness concession programs, the $2 dogs, amazing. I'd also suggest the ice cream.
Okay.
But Tom has said in chat, hey guys, don't forget, I'm racing my wiener dog at the Downs on Monday night. Race number 3, Puddles. I was already planning on getting out there. But knowing that WST has a dog in the race, if you will, the wiener dogs, which are back after such a popular inclusion about a month and a half ago at the track, I think we might need to get out there and as a group get behind Puddles in the wiener dog racing, in addition to everything else that's going on at the track on a big Monday night.
Can you bet on the wiener dogs, Huss? Asking for a friend.
I asked Darren Dunn that.
And?
I said, Darren,
no.
Is there any way that we can get the wiener dog? I think
tough sell.
That is probably not going to go over with the gaming authority.
Yeah.
So, you just have to. What would be fun? I don't know how many. Put a little sprinkle on Puddles. Exactly. Yeah. I don't know how many dogs there are in total. But you know what would be fun is if you had a big enough group there. Say there's 20 wiener dogs. I don't know, but let's just say there is. And you had a group of 20 people. And if everyone just put in like $5 and you basically randomly picked, so everyone had a dog.
Yeah.
And then whoever the winner is would, get $100. That would be a fun way to do it. We'd have to have a big group though.
Yeah.
And it would be difficult to organize. I don't know whether they have tip sheets out on the wiener dogs or anything like that.
They don't have the full booklet on the
maybe we'll do a deep dive on Monday with the field for the wiener dog races on Monday at Assiniboia Downs. But of course, Connor, we've got a lot to get to before we dive into anything on Monday. We got the Bombers. We have the rest of the CFL action. We've got a huge series for the Blue Jays in the Bronx against the New York Yankees. The Gold Eyes continuing their quest of first place. There's a couple, 2.5 back right now. They lost the last 2 in Sioux Falls. So they move on to their next series and then are back at home next week. But Kansas City's won 3 in a row. So the Fish are back. And, of course, we've got lots of NFL to talk about as well. One thing we don't really have much to talk about is the local hockey team. This is very, very quiet for the NHL. But just before we dive into Bomber talk and this game tonight, did you see the news today about our old pal Burmy, Alex Burmistrov?
Where's Burmy now? It's like, where's Waldo? Where's Burmy?
Burmy has just signed to play in Cincinnati in the East Coast League this year.
How much help does Joe Burrow need, Huss? No,
yeah. It's, I think he's basically been exclusively in the KHL.
Yeah.
Let's pull up the DB. Yeah, he's played the last 11 seasons in the KHL. But the last couple of years, he has not played very much. He played 20 games with the Shanghai Dragons for the Chinese team in that thing. Team. 0 goals, 2 assists. Year before, only 8 games with Moscow Dynamo. And the previous year, Moscow Spartak, 50 games, 2 goals. The one thing Burmistrov could do, man, he had great wheels and everything. The guy just can't score. He never had a double digit. You know what was nuts? His best goal scoring year of his professional career, including 11 years, or I guess 13 years total in the KHL, was 2011, 2012 with the Winnipeg Jets. 13 goals. He had 13 goals, 15 assists for 28 points. Next year with the Jets had 4 goals in 44. And then I guess 15, 16 played the full season with the Jets, had 7 goals and 21 points. He never had more than 6 goals in a KHL season. Oh, I shouldn't say that. His first 2 when he was younger, he had back-to-back 10-goal seasons when he first went there. And then, of course, he came back, played that year with the Jets. But I did not have a return to the North America in the East Coast League as the next step for our old buddy Burmy.
I didn't
know where
either.
Are they now?
Yeah.
Maybe he'll come to the alumni game.
Maybe. That would be fun. 34-year-old Alexander Burmistrov just feels weird to read. Like, I've got the tweet up here of the report, and when I picture Alex Burmistrov, it's still like the super young Burmy of that 2011-2012 season, right? So seeing 8th overall pick from the 2010 draft, he's back in the ECHL, so he's in the pipeline, right? Like, maybe he lights it up in the ECHL and gets called up to the AHL at some point. But look, I mean, he's been in the KHL for a number of years now. Nice to see him back in North America. I didn't have the Cincinnati Cyclones as a favorite to land the Burmistrov sweepstakes, but good to see him back in the ECHL here.
Just when I think of Burmistrov, I think of my biggest memory of Burmy, Reem, or Connor, is in fact not anything to do with the rink downtown, but in fact a bar downtown. During one of the games, and I can't remember when this was, I'm thinking it might have been the 12-13 season. Washington came to town to play the Jets. And if you remember the green room, which was in Osborne Village, I don't know what it's called now, but it was a very popular place that a lot of the players would go to. A friend of mine owned and ran it, so I would be around there some point. And I will never forget, I was out on Osborne, and this car pulls up right in front of the door to get into the bar, stops right on Osborne, and who walks out? It's a Manitoba car. Alex Ovechkin, driving the car, made Burmy sit in the back seat of his own whip. And then they walk in, and the guy goes to Ovi, hey, you come on in, but you can't park there. He goes, oh, yeah, I can. And then just went in. And then my friend who had the bar had to go get the keys from these guys, go and take the car around because Alex Ovechkin in Burmistrov's car had just gone for his he invented valet parking in Osborne Village on that Friday night. Man, there'll be lots of stories about that sort of stuff back in coming up at the end of November when we get all the old fellas back for the Heritage Classic. But that's the Burmy story that really stands out. Unfortunately, there wasn't more magic on the ice, and that's part of the reason why he spent most of his career playing in the K and now in the ECHL.
Yeah, that is a pretty funny story. And hey, Alexander Ovechkin, like, greatest goal scorer in NHL history, he can park wherever the hell he wants, right?
That's what he said.
Yeah, right. So very, very good story there, Huss. I'm sure there are some great stories from those early Jets days, which Burmistrov was a part of. Again, that inaugural season, he had 28 points in 76 games, 13 goals, and was kind of an early fan favorite. When I think of Alexander Burmistrov, I forget the play, but I just know the video where he takes a penalty and he's like arguing with the ref. He's like, "That's a terrible call." And then he looks up at the jumbotron and he goes, "Oh yeah, that's probably." He's like, "Yeah, that's
okay.
probably a call." Yeah, that is just so good. Just classic stuff there. So
if
that's
that
my
happened
first
10
thought.
years later, that's like a top gif.
Yes.
on all of our feeds. Every time you protest about something and then realize that you were in the wrong, it would be the Burmy penalty box video. Anyways, fun little blast from the past. We'll be talking lots about guys from the 11-12 and 12-13 seasons coming up at the end of October. If you missed the news yesterday, FanFest has changed this year. It's not at the beginning of training camp at the Iceplex or at the Hockey for All Center like it's been for the last number of years. It's going to be on the Saturday of the Heritage Classic weekend. And it sounds like there's going to be involvement with a bunch of the alumni as well, which should be a real sort of special and fun day for Winnipeg Jet fans. Connor, how are you feeling about this game tonight? This is a game, honestly, that I think that if the Winnipeg Blue Bombers could go in, have their best game of the season, and find a way to win, could actually change everything about where they sit right now and certainly the way they are perceived around the league.
It's a pivotal game in the West Division, Huss, because you look at the CFL standings, and this is an important one. I mean, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are a team that somehow are 5-4 and right in the thick of things in that West Division, but you have two teams playing each other this week in Saskatchewan and BC. So Winnipeg with a win and maybe a Saskatchewan loss could be in a really good spot in the West Division, right? They could move up and be a half game back of first.
Half game out of first place.
Right. So that's the good side of it, where the Bombers can go in, they can win, they can change the narrative on their season, surely, if they win tonight's game and suddenly they're a half game out of first and the upcoming stretch doesn't look so bad. I mean, it's still pretty tough schedule ahead, but a loss tonight and a BC win over Saskatchewan, and the Bombers could be in fourth at the end of the weekend as well, with Calgary on the bye. So it's a very pivotal game. You see Montreal and Saskatchewan twice on the schedule coming up. This game is no walk in the park, but you're on the road facing the number one team in the West. And I like what Matt Leibel said earlier on the program this week, saying it's about time the Bombers, have some big games. They need to get up for some games, like playing Ottawa at home. Athletes may not admit it. That's a tough game to get up for. Off a bye, maybe you sleepwalk through the first half because it's Ottawa, they're winless, whatever. Going on the road against the number one team in the West, in the Edmonton Elks, this is a game the Bombers have to get up for. I want to see Brady Oliveira involved just as much as he was last week. That would be very, very fun to see. And it's certainly a pivotal game in the West Division, Huss, with everything so bunched up here through the first half of the season.
I mean, BC are favored at home against Saskatchewan on Sunday night. Sask is beat up a little bit. And as we mentioned, I mean, the Bombers are a cool bit right now, 5.5 point underdogs. Mm-hmm. But a win tonight, as you mentioned, would take them to 6-4. Edmonton would go to 7-4. They'd be half a game back with a game in hand, which is crazy to think about. As ugly as it's looked at times for the Bombers, we keep going back to the fact that, yes, it hasn't looked like it has in the past, but the record is they've got the wins 5 times. They've had more points than the other team. So this is a huge opportunity. Now, a loss tonight and then going into Montreal, Saskatchewan, I think, Connor, bottom line is they got to find a way to win a couple of these games over the next 4 weeks. They took care of business against Ottawa. That was great. I know you mentioned the scenario of the 5 games. Would you take 2 and 3 with wins against Ottawa and at home against Saskatchewan in the Banjo Bowl? I guess you might take that, but bottom line is, if this team really wants to press and be part of the conversation with Edmonton and Saskatchewan, they actually have that opportunity right in front of them tonight if they can play their best game of the season and find a way to win.
Yeah, the opportunity is right in front of the Bombers. And Schnitzy and I did an exercise a couple weeks ago on the Bombers report coming out of the bye, glass half full, glass half empty kind of case for the Bombers. And the glass half full was kind of what Matt Leibel was saying earlier on our program this week, that if the Bombers do turn it around, they can kind of get hot at the right time, and they're playing the 2 teams ahead of them in the West Division standings 3 times over the next 4 weeks. So, I mean, if you can play well tonight against Edmonton, maybe even get a win, which again, they're 5.5 point underdogs. I took the Elks over my Cool Bet Pick'em League. I certainly don't think the Bombers, should win tonight's game or anything like that. This is a very tough one, but if the Bombers can play a little bit better, lean on Brady Oliveira more, the run defense, which has been a sore spot this year, can maybe have a strong performance against Justin Rankin. Maybe they sneak out of there with a win, and then You got Montreal next week, which will be a very tough one, and then the Labor Day Banjo Bowl home and home. But it's right there in front of them. If the Bombers do get hot, it would be a great time of the season to get hot. What we've seen so far hasn't exactly screamed that there's like this random hot streak coming around the corner, but crazy things happen in the CFL all the time, and Jordan Younger even talked about it earlier this week. Sometimes it just clicks for teams at a random time in the season. So now would be a great time for it to click for the Bombers.
Yeah, no doubt about it. When I think about this game, and we'll see what Ed has to say about it and Jeff, I really think the Bombers' ability to hopefully establish Brady Oliveira, move the chains. Like I think I told you yesterday, Edmonton had 38 minutes of possession to 22 against Toronto the week before.
Yeah.
If the Bombers can do that, can keep their defense off the field a little fresher and move the football by move the ball on the ground, I think that is necessary to really open up the passing game for Zach Collaros. I think we'll see a lot of Tim White, Nick Dembski. Can they get Ontario Wilson involved in the game with Zach playing? I mean, that would be a goal, but I think there's a bunch of things that need to happen first. And then on the other side of things, can the Bombers do a much better job of stopping the run? They have been gashed at times this year, really going back to Dedrick Mills in the first game of the season. We remember what Xander Horvath did with BC, and of course, Salter in the 377. I would suggest the combination of Rankin and Leak is right up there with the best 1-2 punches in running game. And if the Bombers are spending a lot of time on the field defensively and Edmonton is running the football, limiting the amount of opportunities the Bomber offense gets, that's going to be a tough equation to pull off a win. So line of scrimmage, establishing the run, and being able to stop it and force Cody Fajardo to beat you. To me, that's the plan. The big question is whether they'll be able to do it.
Yeah, you mentioned the line of scrimmage. I think the key, if I had to nail one down for this game, is going to be the matchup of the Bombers O-line against the Elks D-line. The Elks D-line this year has been awesome. They're pressuring quarterbacks. They're getting a ton of sacks. They're forcing a lot of turnovers as a defense as well. And the Bombers' offensive line, Huss, we've been talking about them a lot this year for the wrong reasons, right? Stanley Bryant, people are wondering if he's slowing down, and Zach Collaros is getting hit every time he's in. He's already been hurt once this year. He was down in the field for a long time in the Ottawa game. So the offensive line certainly has to be better in this game. They are fully healthy up front. Like, they have Broxton in there. Stanley Bryant's there. But again, this Elks D-line is a force to be reckoned with. They had Malik Carney from the Grey Cup champion Saskatchewan Roughriders in the offseason, and they've been terrorizing QBs really all year long. And you look at last week as well, the reason that Edmonton was able to have such dominant time of possession over Toronto was because they could run the ball. And, well, I guess Rankin had a pretty low yards per carry, but the 6 turnovers that they forced, Huss, Edmonton's defense was all over Toronto. Chad Kelly was fighting for his life back there, and they couldn't run the ball. So this Edmonton defense, they have some ball hawks in the secondary. Their D-line has been a force to be reckoned with. That is going to be a key matchup for the Bombers tonight. Their O-line has to keep Zach Collaros upright, and a good run game from the Bombers can help, mitigate whatever advantage that the Edmonton Elks have on their defensive line.
Yeah, I'm really pumped for this game tonight. As I say, Friday night, going into the weekend, and I don't know, there's just part of me, and I know there's a lot of people that are down on Winnipeg, and maybe this is giving them a lot of credit for previous seasons when they figured out ways to win, and maybe it's not done, but I can't help but think that the Bombers have so much more to give, and this is the sort of game that we might see that from them. I'm cautiously optimistic, actually, about this game tonight. I think that they can cover it. I mean, the one thing that we've seen is they've been very good at winning close games. I think this game could be a close game, and they kind of owe Edmonton one for, frankly, blowing it against them with a terrible start, no ball control, like the number of fumbles that they had in the last game, Connor. If they play a much cleaner game, I think they have a chance to win tonight.
Yeah, and I asked you this yesterday, and I'll put it on the record right now. I would be okay with a close loss from the Bombers. That might sound weird, but if they play well and hang with Edmonton and lose on like a walk-off field goal or something, like, I'm not going to be here on Monday with my stock being lower on the Bombers than it is right now. You know, like if they go in and win, great. Obviously, we're all happy about that. But if they can prove as well that they can go on the road and hang with the number 1 seed in the West and play a tight game, I think that's a step forward as well from what we've seen so far this season. So there's a lot of different ways that this game can go tonight, but the Bombers are undefeated on the road, Huss. 3-0 so far this season. We'll see if they can keep that going in Edmonton.
Road Warriors tonight,
Warriors,
8:30.
yeah.
We'll head out to Edmonton and talk to Ed Tait in a bit, and Jeff Hamilton is coming up in just a second. We will touch on the Jays-Yankees series as well, a little NFL later on, but let's fire it up with the hammer coming up next right now on WST. Hockey season's just around the corner, and that means we'll be getting back to the Winnipeg Jet lines for Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. Clean Line is your residential and commercial plumbing experts in Winnipeg, along with heating and electrical services, and have been Winnipeg's most trusted plumbers for over 40 years, with fast responses, lasting results, and 24/7 emergency services across all of Winnipeg. Just like Adam Lowry has the backs of his teammates, Clean Line has yours. Mark the number down, 204-500-2001 for 24/7 emergency service when you need it most. You can also check out more on all Clean Line services and make an appointment online at cleanline.ca. Big congratulations to Roberto and our friends out at the Santa Lucia on Main Street who battled back from the last 2 years working to overcome a fire and just had a wonderful grand opening on the weekend. Popped out and saw a lot of happy people in the West K area to have their Santa Lucia back. If you have not been there, certainly suggest to try it out. They've got amazing happy hour specials, promos throughout the week, and obviously all your favorites from Santa Lucia. So all of you out in West K or that go up and down Main Street, 1473 Main, Santa Lucia is back open. It was a great grand opening on the weekend, but now it is business as usual. Pop by and see him today at Santa Lucia on Main Street. And congratulations to Roberto and the staff on getting back open for the people of Winnipeg. Hey, got to thank our friends at Manitoba Battery. Big Bomber game coming up on Friday night. And, of course, Manitoba Battery. Hopefully we can get a couple new batteries in that Bomber offense and defense after last week's game. Of course, Manitoba Battery, proud sponsor of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, powering the Bombers this season. And, of course, Winnipeg Sports Talk. Manitoba Battery is your local option where you'll find the best in batteries for literally everything at the lowest prices in town, period, along with the best in customer service. So pop by and see them on Logan Avenue or Dovercourt Drive out in the south end of the city. And if you can't make it down, you can give them a call or order online at manitobabattery.com, and they can deliver those batteries to you anywhere inside the perimeter of Winnipeg. For all your battery needs, save time, save money, shop local at Manitoba Battery with 2 locations to serve you. And folks, if you have a move coming up the rest of the summer, fall, or even into winter, you're going to need to check in with our friends over at Roley's Transfer. Family owned and operated for over 60 years and the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. If you check out their website at roleys.com, up at the top corner, you can click on Request an Estimate. If you've got a move coming up, hit that, and then make sure to put in the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies. Then simply let them know when and where you're planning on moving, what needs to be moved, and the friendly staff at Roley's will turn around quickly with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment and service that they've been famous for now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, make it Roley's Transfer, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more today online at roleys.com. All right, it's hammer time on a Friday. Let's bring him in. Jeff Hamilton, master of the live line. How'd you enjoy that one last night?
Well, like I said, it's every game has a personality, and couldn't get a better start with Ottawa showing some guts there on that opening drive. Yeah, anyone who was peeking at the first half spread for Montreal after that probably did as well as I did.
Nice start to the week. That's for sure. And no sweat for the first legger of the CFL 110. We now need Hamilton to keep that one close tomorrow within 4, and a BC win and we'll be looking at good. What do you listen? I've been texting Pat and Jake, and I wanted to see if we could get a number on the Ottawa Red Blacks perfect season, 0-18. Like, I think that's in play right now. Now, admittedly, they are playing some lesser teams. If you look at their schedule, they got a couple against, Toronto, Hamilton. It's not like Montreal, Riders, Elks that they played so far.
Division rivals, nonetheless.
But they are they're in a dark place right now. I'm not sure we've seen a team. I mean, like the Elks starts, like they had a couple 0-7s to start off. But man, once you get into the second half of the season without a win, not to mention all the bodies that are dropping around Ottawa on the team, in the front office, in the coaching staff, like we haven't had a mess like this in a pretty long time.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is there's a lot of things working against them right now and for the foreseeable future. That, of course, being these games are just getting more intense, as everyone says every year. The season doesn't start until after Labor Day, and that's just speaking to just, again, the games getting more intense and more meaningful as you get closer to the playoffs, right? And the other thing, of course, is the fact that they're making changes every week, right? Not only do they have a ton of people on the 6-game injured list, and that's an interesting situation in and of itself, because everyone's playing with something at this point. I'm not saying everyone's playing with something that requires long-term rest or being sidelined for weeks, but I wonder how many of those injuries are guys that are just like, well, I'm not going to put my body on the line for a season. We're not going to be competing for anything at the end of it. So, that's a really interesting thing in and of itself. But my point is they got so many moves, whether guys are going on the injured list or getting released. We talked about this obviously a couple of weeks ago. They fired Will Fields, their defensive coordinator, put Jeff Reinbold in that position. That's a lot of moving pieces. And, when you again factor in how intense the games are getting, they're not really, they need to kind of be perfect. And how can you be perfect under those conditions? The reality is you can't. So, I guess the safety net for that bet, Huss, would be there's going to be things working in their favor by the end of the season, whether that's teams who have already locked up, playoff positions and, rest guys or whatever. But I mean, how sad is that we're talking about, their best bet here being, teams that are, already done, not caring about the regular season any longer. The fact is they just don't have the horses. They don't, Jake Mayer hasn't been horrible, but he's not a great quarterback. And obviously they have issues in all three phases, factor in those other things. And yeah, it'll be interesting. I might be interested in wagering on that bet if you can get a number.
Yeah, 9-1. I think the boys have just put it up in the let's see, is it WST exclusive? I don't know. I'll find it out. And we do have a nice one for tonight as well, which we'll talk about in a second. But you brought up Jeff Reinbold. I got to say this. I was so whatever. I'm watching them get destroyed last night, and it dawned upon me that Jeff Reinbold is now the defensive coordinator of this team. And I got thinking about 0-10, and it took me back to 1998, and we'll all remember rolling into the press conference on the Harley and the bluster. I mean, one of the great carnival barkers when it comes to coaches ever in either league. I mean, he had this city eating out of the palm of his hand until they lost 10 straight games to start the season. And it was a disaster. It was a mess.
Yeah, so I had a bit of a front row seat to the start of that, Huss. I was 12 years old at the time, and my dad was worked at a company that was a corporate sponsor, and he was high up in the company and whatever, and ended up wheeling and dealing something so me and my twin brother could be water boys for that training camp. And I got, first, like I said, front row seat to Jeff Reinbold and the chaos and the whatever, the motorcycle, the attire, just completely kind of throwing, tradition to the wind. So that's pretty funny. But you know what? As I've obviously gotten older and moved into covering this league and doing it for years now, he's one of the best people in the game. You know,
He is the best.
he certainly has, you know, an unbelievable perspective. Somebody who, you know, we all know the stories. He takes off to like Maui, somewhere in Hawaii, and sits in a hut and is just completely, you know, erased from society. You know, like this guy gets it, obviously. So, you know, I think it's an interesting move. And as I mentioned, you know, those moves are difficult on teams. But you know, I think Jeff Reinbold probably is a guy that comes in there and brings a little bit of levity to the situation and got, you know, probably leans more on the emotional kind of things to rally these guys.
Well, listen, I 100% agree with you. I mean, the reason why people, like, even when they were 0-10, people absolutely loved the guy. And so did the players, which, if you recall, his first win as a Bomber was, I believe, the Banjo Bowl. I'm not even sure if it was called the Banjo Bowl at the time, but it was the rematch after the Labor Day game. We were looking at on the lock shop. I think the Bombers won 36-35 in that game for their first win of the season to go to 1-10. And if you recall, and this speaks to the love the guys had for Reinbold, they carried him off the field on the shoulders of the players after that first win. So I'm laughing and thinking about this, and then I'm looking at the schedule. Next week, BC at Ottawa. Could we see the Red Blacks give Ryan Dinwiddie his first victory, and carry him on their shoulders off the field in Ottawa at the stadium? I'm not sure if Dinwiddie's that sort of a guy, but
Dinwiddie is not that guy.
No,
If you get the cool bet guys to rally up odds to that, I'll be going against it. I think he's, you know, probably pretty embarrassed, and there would be no celebration, you know, for him if they do get that victory. One last thing about Reinbold I completely forgot, and it's a garage sale tale, we'll call it. I bought a book from a garage sale one time, and as I was, you know, going through it, whatever, this letter popped out. I think I definitely still have it. It might be in one of these drawers. Anyways, it was a letter from a response from Jeff to a woman who had written in about their unfortunate season and not to give up, and that, you know, and it was, you know, his trademark sense of humor and you know, like I said, genuine kind of care for her and you know, for the team and whatever. And I think I remember looking at the date, I think he was gone like 3 weeks later. So pretty funny he was reaching back out to fans who were writing into him.
But just before we move on to the Bombers and Elks, just while we're talking about this mess in Ottawa, I have to say I'm absolutely stunned that they are where they are, because I think I share your thoughts that Ryan Dinwiddie is right up there with the best minds in the Canadian Football League. And, you know, it's wild. Like, he hasn't won a game. I think he's on a personal 16-game losing streak or something like that. And, like, frankly, Jeff, that seems impossible considering what he's done at this level since graduating to being a head coach.
As you mentioned, like, I'm a huge fan of Ryan Dinwiddie, you know, and I believe, you know, his years in Toronto, 2 Grey Cups in 5 seasons, and you know, I've made this statement tons of times. He's done more with less than any other coach during his tenure in this league, because, you know, obviously in Toronto, unlike here in Winnipeg, where continuity has been the bread and butter, along with a, you know, strong O-line, Toronto would lose players every season and, you know, just kind of bring in a new group. What's going on here in Ottawa? I don't think anybody predicted that they would be, you know, where they're at right now. Obviously, I think a lot of people thought with Ryan Dinwiddie's not only coaching but leadership and you know, as the general manager as well, that they'd be in a much better situation. I have a couple theories to it. I think you will see better days in Ottawa. Like, I don't think this is going to be a reoccurring nightmare each season under Ryan Dinwiddie. As we saw from the comments from the organization, like, they have their full confidence put behind him. So he's not sitting there sweating, you know, worrying about that first win. Obviously, you know, things might change if you do have that perfect season. Who knows? You might force their hand. But I think that, you know, Ryan Dinwiddie will end up getting things done. I guess my theories in this is there's still some stink on that team from previous years. Like, you know, even when you look at some things where, and, you know, I don't mean to do him dirty or be, you know, have any disrespect, but even the stories about Drew Brown coming out of Ottawa, right? Like, wanting to be out of there, calling for a trade. I mean, obviously there's lots of factors that go into those decisions. It's not just hurt feelings, but, you know, that was interesting. Geno Lewis, getting cut because he wasn't, you know, finishing drills. Like, there's obviously a bit of a culture problem there. And while they have, you know, dipped into free agency and brought in, new players from different teams, they still have a lot of their core players here. So I think that seems to be what Ryan Dinwiddie is focusing on right now, is figuring out who his leadership is, what he's missing in maybe the locker room, because you can't deny the team has talent. They have a lot of injuries right now, but things aren't working, and I think that's probably the goal here for the rest of the season, is to figure out not only the talent on the field, but who you want to be representing your brand in the locker room.
All right, let's get to tonight. I kind of laid it out, my thoughts to Connor earlier. I think the Bombers need to be able to stay on the field offensively. I mean, the Elks, the time of possession in that game, and I know we talked about this on CFL 110 earlier this week against Toronto, was 38-22. And that's in a game where Justin Rankin was only rushing for less than 3 yards a carry. I think he had like 50 yards or so on 16 carries, something like that. Keep the defense fresh, but also can the Winnipeg Blue Bombers stop the run and not get gashed like many teams have by Edmonton, with a bit of a two-headed monster with Rankin and, of course, Leak, and there's always Cody that can run too. This would be massive and could almost just completely change the narrative on the season if they were able to get this win. But Edmonton's been great this year. They played very tight earlier this season in Winnipeg, and I think that's a game they can look back and go, man, we handed that one over. We had a terrible start. We turned the football over multiple times, and then yet still came back, although wasn't able to stop that drive. Like, pass to victory for the Bombers in your mind, and how realistic is that for a team that has been very underwhelming despite having the 5-4 record?
Yeah, same thing for every case in every game. I mean, you got to win the trenches, right? You got to be able to push the line of scrimmage if you're the O-line. You got to get to Cody Fajardo if you're the D-line, and you got to limit your mistakes, turnovers. I mean, that's ultimately the key to success. That was the key to success for the Bombers for so many years, and they just haven't been able to find that level of consistency to produce those games where you're coming out on top, where you're winning the turnover battle. Again, all those important elements to victories that you hear every coach on every team talk about when you ask that very question. I mean, the next one, the reality of it is it's not going to be easy. Like, this is a really good Edmonton team. The building is getting better. I saw the seat map. It wasn't as filled as the other week when we they were kind of doing a bit of an effort to rally people to go, but it's still going to be loud, and that Edmonton team, unlike Winnipeg this year, has shown that consistency when it comes to three-phase football, complementary football, and they're fired up, right? The feelings in Edmonton's room is a lot different than in Winnipeg's room right now, and so the Bombers, who have had a lot of success in Edmonton over these last handful of years, maybe that's a benefit to a certain degree, as there's obviously a lot of players still on the roster from those years. They're going to have their hands full here. I'm not as optimistic as you. You seem to have a feeling when I was listening, in the segment before I came on. Like, I think
I'm hyping myself up for 8:30
I think the Bombers are going to have to, again, play somewhat of a perfect game, because you can't make mistakes in any phase, because this is the kind of team that will burn you. This is the kind of team that the Bombers used to be and burn others when they made mistakes. The shoe is on the other foot, if you will. So against Edmonton, you just need to be good. What I would say about this is, as much as it would be a massive win, it's a major opportunity here for Winnipeg. We talked about this a lot on CFL 110 around, like narrative changing games. Like, this would be a narrative changer for Winnipeg if they went into, the leaders of the West, beat them on their turf, come back, they would come back 6-4. All of a sudden, people are talking about the Bombers kind of being back in the race. The power rankings are ranking them up near the top. Like, they become one of the teams that are in the, West Division race here. So that's a real big opportunity for Winnipeg. The fact of the matter is, it's not, easier said than done. And Edmonton is a team that, can not only put their foot on your throat, but continue to hold you there and rack up the score. That's, like I said, there's some good feelings over in Edmonton, and Winnipeg is going to have to combat that, and a good three-phase football team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I don't know whether I'm bold enough to put a Bomber win on our little Blue Bomber special, but we did. I mean, I do think there's going to be a lot of Rankin and a lot of Brady in this game. We put this together: Bombers and Elks, both teams to score 20.
Okay.
Oliveira and Rankin each to rush for 60 and catch 20. So I'll focus on the running backs. It's up in the exclusives under Winnipeg Sports Talk Parlay. Ride with us. at a nice number, plus 625 if you
not
want
too
to ride
bad.
on there. Hey, obviously we're gonna get back in on Tuesday and break down everything happening from this week in the Canadian Football League. Obviously it's deathly quiet on the Jets right now. There's not much happening. That'll change once we get on the other side of Labor Day and we get closer to training camp. But Jeff, so much of the off season has been dominated by conversations of the future of Connor Hellebuyck. And I know a lot of people that I respect still think that something's going to happen probably in September. I guess it remains to be seen. What do you think? Like, if it happens, it happens. But I think we all need to be prepared that Hellebuyck will be back here. He needs to prepare that he's going to be back here. How do you think that first media availability, like, will it be a circus or will it be somewhat of him being prepared, blowing off some of the things, and then it's just kind of business as usual? Like, how much of a problem, or will it be a problem when he comes back? And is it all basically up to the player? Because I think we know the team would love to just have this disappear and get him back in net for another 60 games next year.
Yeah, like, I mean, has it ever been a circus?
Really.
In a press scrum, like, ever with any Jet in any situation, whether
But
that
have
be,
they ever had a guy of his
well, Jacob
nature?
Trouba, Morrissey held out for a bit one year. Like, there's things that kind of warrant a spotlight for you. I'm not trying to, like, negate your point. I think it's going to be a very interesting press conference. I think it's going to be a press conference that a lot of, viewers, readers, spectators, whatever, are going to be interested in getting the answers from, right? Because right now it's just been a summer of speculation, really, for the entire summer here, right? The people have been floating out ideas, taking certain words that are said and elevating them, and all of a sudden it's an ask out, and is there a trade, not a trade? So I think people would love to hear from the guy that everybody's talking about. So certainly if Connor Hellebuyck is in training camp, and the Jets will be careful to plan and schedule his availability as they do with most of the players during training camp. Like, yeah, it's going to be I guess he'll be peppered, if you will, with questions, but these questions demand answers for a fan base who, for a player rather, who is a massive piece to this puzzle, whether he's on the roster or who comes back in, a potential trade. So yeah, like, it will be very interesting, and it will warrant a lot of cameras and media, because Connor's obviously a very popular guy here and a very meaningful player to the team. So yeah, it will be bananas, Huss. It'll be insane.
Here's my question for you. Because, like, there has never been, like, it's not like with Trouba where there's a public trade request and the agent's been talking or anything like that. Like, it has been assumed that he has asked for a trade. The fact that they were talking about it, what we'd heard from the Jets, obviously what Drager reported, but I mean, there's been nothing public. Can he just show up and say, "Oh, that was totally overblown," and just move on? Or
I don't think he would. Like, I think Connor, give him credit, I think he's pretty open about his feelings, right? You can tell he doesn't love doing media, and I don't necessarily blame him in a way. Like, some people just aren't comfortable with it. Some people don't want to do it or whatever, and I get that. But, I mean, it's going to be an uncomfortable situation for him, because, I'm sure, there's some truth in all of it. Like, there's at the very least an openness to want to be somewhere else. And hey, man, whether you're in Winnipeg or any other market that's where fans are passionate, that's going to be a narrative that's going to run wild, right? Like, that's a tale as old as time, dating back to generations here in this game. So of course it's going to warrant that. I think it's going to be really interesting as far as if he's there. It's a lot, the players that you've heard from over this summer, whether it was Cole Perfetti when he signed his deal. I saw Murat interviewed Adam Lowry for a piece with The Athletic, and those are all kind of the same feelings, at least in the media, right? I'm sure these conversations are different in private, but at least as far as the public message is, he's still a Winnipeg Jet. We expect him to be at camp. We love him. He's a great teammate, and we obviously want him to be part of our organization. And that is the genuine sentiment from all his teammates. Like, it's almost kind of like, I mean, if you read between the lines, it's like, what do you want me to tell you, man? Like, if he's traded, he's traded. If he's not, he's going to be a teammate of of ours and we want him on our team. He makes us way better. Like, why would we not want him? But that's going to create, I mean, it's the number one storyline going into camp. And, the reality is you'll get your answers and then we'll move on to something else. We'll move on to whatever else is coming down the pipe, or whatever, story needs, warrants, attention.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, everyone's going to be asking about it, and there'll be different people that'll ask the same thing in a few different ways. I'm fascinated as to, whether it's blown off and said like a blame the media thing, like this is not it, or
There's always potential for that. And I mean, all these players have agents and people who give them advice and how to approach this. The Jets are going to have their say in how they feel he should approach it, and together they'll come up with a thing. The reason why I don't anticipate like it's way blown out of proportion, whatever, is because Connor Hellebuyck isn't a pretty honest guy. Like, he is an honest guy. So I would expect him to kind of not share everything. Why would you share everything? But I at least expect him to, share his feelings about the coverage, about the stories, about the rumors, and, his answers will be his answers. And, you can take him for his word, or, you can think he's misleading you. That's just, that's life, man.
Before we go, you still feeling BC on Sunday night? Line, it's now 2. I think the money line's like almost minus 140. Interesting.
Yeah.
We don't have a depth chart yet for Sask. I mean, that's the other question. I've heard a rumor that MLS might be back.
MLS is apparently back. So that's been the reports this week or whatever. So, I mean, I just think BC is rolling right now. Confidence means a lot in this league, and good feelings in the room, and they know they got work to do, right? So they're still humble, and they always play the Riders well. So yeah, I think it's not going to be an easy victory. And it's not like I'm sitting there saying the BC Lions are going to roll over them, but I do think they're vulnerable right now with their injuries, and they got some game tape on Trevor Harris, who didn't play all that well against Hamilton. So maybe that's a key to some success for them too. So I think it's going to be, again, not easy sledding for BC, but I do think they're playing well enough right now, and not just Nathan Rourke, who's of course back, but their defense under Mike Benavides that was getting torched is now carrying their load in the success. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's a crazy football league, man. It's hard to predict. It's we break it down every week on CFL 110, and the beauty of that show is it's just pure drama every weekend. So
yeah, no doubt about that. Well, listen, have yourself a great weekend, and I will look forward to getting back in with you 10 a.m. Tuesdays right here live on the Winnipeg Sports Talk YouTube channel for CFL 110. Hammer, have a great one, buddy. Thanks again.
Yeah, you too, guys. Everybody have a safe weekend, and we'll catch you next week.
Got it. Chat is having some fun, some great stuff. Will, I predict the heli presser will be a giant nothing burger. Running man, the only thing Heli will say is I'm still a Jet. Big Al, Heli, I want the hell out of here. Next question. So some interesting comments on that. Speaking of the chat, vibe check for the game tonight. Why not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray? Can the Bombers win in Edmonton tonight? How are we feeling out there, Bomber fans? Let us know in the chat. Where's your optimism level going into play the first place Elks in the situation that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are in with what you've seen so far? Can they raise it a couple levels and go in and continue their stellar record on the road away from Princess Auto Stadium? Let us know in the chat for the Not Autocorp Why Not question of the day. Jackson Tuchinski of Winnipeg is back in the peg after winning a bronze medal and booking a ticket to the LA Olympics with Coach Paul Appolise and the men's national flag football team. He will join us next, and then Ed Tait in Edmonton as WST continues. Well, Friday night, Princess Auto Stadium is going to be the place to be as the Bombers looking to get back in the win column against the Ottawa Redblacks. 7 days a week, though, the place to be is the brand new Princess Auto at 500 Panet Road. Of course, Princess Auto founded and headquartered right here in Winnipeg, and now coast to coast across the country now has opened their flagship store, 105,000 square feet at 500 Panet Road. And if you haven't been in there, book off a little bit of time and check it out. Make sure to check out the shop where you've got all the tools there. You can learn them, free classes with Reed Carruthers and his great staff there. Obviously, an expanded stock of literally everything, including hunting, fishing, camping, and even a spot where you can try out archery equipment and crossbows and whatnot. Oh, and don't forget, come hungry. Breakfast sandwiches, incredible smash burgers. It is a new shopping experience that Winnipeg's never seen before. 500 Panet Road at the brand new Princess Auto. And of course, you can check them out online at princessauto.com. Our friends at Chud's Power Sports up in Gimli have had one heck of a summer, and that's not a new thing. They've been doing it for 80 years as the preeminent power sports superstore in Manitoba. If you are looking for new or used motorcycles, ATVs, side-by-sides, golf carts, boats and outboard motors, or recreational vehicles, Chud's Power Sports is your number one spot for that. So head on up to Gimli at the corner of Highway 8 and 231. Check in with the Derminator and our friends out at Chud's. They'll take very good care of you. And even if summer's winding down for you and you're already looking around to the corner to the snow flying, great 2027 promos and deals on snow machines as well coming up. And it's all waiting for you at Chud's Power Sports, Manitoba's power sports superstore for over 80 years up in Gimli. You can start shopping today and get those ideas going online at chudspowersports.com. Been a great summer for our friends at St. Vital Dental Center. Saw Dr. Terry on the weekend getting out of town, but it's back to work for he and his team as everyone gets ready for the school year. St. Vital Dental Center has been serving generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans. So if you are looking for a long-term home for you and your family at one of the top dental clinics, make it St. Vital Dental Center. Beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's Road with convenient free parking right behind the building. And St. Vital Dental Center is where you'll get everything taken care of in one spot, from things like cleanings and checkups to dental surgeries and dental implants. They do it all. So for all your dental needs, hit them up online at St. Vital Dental Center. Make an appointment, and when you pop in, tell them the boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. Wow, what a sports weekend we've got coming up. Big weekend in the Canadian Football League. Jays are still grinding, trying to hang in there. We've got the CEBL Championship Series, and of course, NFL right around the corner, which means get ready to spend some time at your local Boston Pizza. No better place to get together with your gang for the big game than your local BP and enjoy ice-cold schooners, world-famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas, and more, and all the great vibe of Boston Pizza lounges. If you're not at the games, the next best place to be is Boston Pizza. And don't forget, if you're staying at home, you can always get the great taste of BP by ordering online at bostonpizza.com. All right, we've been looking forward to this. Great to welcome into the program longtime Bison quarterback and now a member of the bronze medal winning and Olympic-bound Canadian flag football team. It's Winnipeg's Jackson Tuchinski on WST. Jackson, welcome to the program. It is great to have you on for the first time. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Andrew. It's I've been looking forward to this, and I'm pretty excited to get this done.
Well, listen, it's been a lot of fun following Lapo's squad and obviously your inclusion on it. For folks that might not be familiar with your playing days with the Bisons, you had an incredible career as the starting quarterback, finished up last year. And then there were plenty of options. I have to ask you, when did flag football and this opportunity come onto your radar? And did you have any history with flag football before you got the call from Lapo?
Yeah, so Lapo ended up calling me just at the end of my university season there. And he asked me to come down to Chula Vista in San Diego and asked me to come try out for the team. And this was in December. And I didn't have my contract signed with the Elks yet. So at the time, I thought it'd be a great opportunity. And then I ended up signing a couple pro contracts, but Lapo hit me up at the end of the year. That's how it all got started, really. And flag wise, I've been playing flag since grade 4. I played from grade 4 to 12, just with a bunch of buddies in my neighborhood, and that was super fun. I got to go to nationals. I won a gold medal at nationals, and it was a great experience. And that's honestly how I first got introduced to football. So I think it was a great introduction for me, and it kind of set the stage for the rest of my football career.
You know what else I would suggest probably set up the stage as well is just, you're a pretty decorated athlete. I was always most familiar with you from throwing the football back at Massey as a high school star and then at the U of M. But you also spent time playing with Kirby Shep on the basketball team and have done a lot of other things. How does being a diverse athlete, I guess, help you, transitioning from something like tackle football to something that's very different in the flag?
Yeah, I've always been a big advocate for, playing multiple sports. I think all of them kind of add different pieces to yourself as a competitor and as a person. And, I credit a lot of just my competitiveness and my skills and my teamwork to just playing all those different sports. I think it's super important to, be diverse in what you play. Just because it helps you in different situations. So, it was really cool playing all those sports growing up, playing with the university men's basketball team. Like that was awesome. That was a great experience. And, I attribute all those things to help me get to where I am today.
Now, that being said, football has always been the focus. You mentioned you signed a contract with the Elks. Tell us about the chasing the pro dream, but also knowing that there was this opportunity with the flag program that was there with Coach LaPolice.
Yeah, so I was doing the flag stuff, from December to April or whatever it was, and at the same time I was training for a pro career. So, I knew those two things were always in my head, and I knew one of them was going to be the answer. And obviously I wanted to make the pro teams, but at the end of the day, I knew I had a great option in flag if those didn't work out. So, I was pretty much just training for both, and I knew one of them would work out, and I'm just glad this one worked out the way it did.
So, you finish up, with your attempts in Edmonton and here with Winnipeg, and then it's all in on the flag program. Fill us in a little bit on, what happened since you finished up with the Bombers. And it must have been a bit of a whirlwind because there wasn't a lot of time before you're joining the team officially. They're announcing the team, and then you're out there playing in a massive world championship tournament with the Olympics on the line.
Yeah, it was definitely a quick turnaround. After that those last cuts from the Bombers, I remember calling Lapo right away, telling him like, hey, like I'm good to go. Like, let's get this going. Let's get an Olympic berth. And I think maybe 10 days later or like 9 days later, I had a flight to San Diego, Chula Vista. We had a training camp, and then we ended up going to China after that. And then, we went to Montreal, and, we went to Montreal again, and then we went to Germany. And, we had a ton of time to prep for it. I think Football Canada and the coaching staff did a great job getting us ready for the tournament. So, it was a very quick turnaround, but at the same time, they invested a lot into us and for us to be successful. We had a lot of time together. So, that time together was really important for us. And I think we gelled a lot in these last few months.
Jackson, tell us about the role with the squad. When we were talking about you with Coach LaPolice, he mentioned that, the athlete you are, but also the fact that you played quarterback at such a high level made you a perfect addition to the team because you have that unique ability to both go out, run routes, catch passes, but also in flag, be an eligible quarterback on the field as well. It must be sort of the combination of all the things you love to do.
100%. It's kind of combined, like my university and pro career into one. And, I really enjoy it. I love being a versatile guy that, the team can depend on in any scenario. And like you said, I was always lined up at receiver, but in flag, you can get laterals, and that person that gets the lateral, they can end up throwing or running. So that was kind of my job. I would be in the backfield a lot, being that 2 quarterback guy. And then just so to keep the defense on their heels, just so they don't know what it's coming every time, I can release for routes, and, me and Mike can kind of throw back and forth there. So it was a really cool role, and I really enjoyed the time with the team. I embraced my role, and that's all we did. And, I'm glad we were successful.
Well, take us through this trip to Germany. The stakes were high. We knew what was on the line, an Olympic berth for the top 2 teams outside of the host. But take us through the entire thing. Like, when do you get together with the team? And how long did you guys have together preparing before you're out there playing in this tournament where the stakes were so high?
Yeah, so the full trip officially started August 1st. I flew out to Montreal, and we did we did a mini training camp there. A lot of the people are from Quebec that are on the team, so it was nice and easy. We have facilities there and everything we could get into. So we did a mini training camp there. And then I want to say August 6th, we ended up flying to Germany. So we did a week camp in like the sports complex place that had dorms and a cafeteria and all that. Because the COC, they wanted us to get adjusted to the time change and everything. So we spent about a week before the tournament there, just getting adjusted to everything. And then, we ended up busing to the event. It was a short bus. We were at a complex that was pretty close to it. And that was super cool. Just seeing all the different teams there. You're staying at a hotel with 10 different flag teams. There's lots of coaches, lots of personnel. There's a ton of volunteers. Like just seeing how big this event was, it was pretty unreal. You walk downtown and you see flags advertising it, and it was just awesome to see the support from the community in that city. And it was a great event.
Now, focusing in on the Canadian team, I mean, you didn't have a ton of time to get ready for it. You knew the job at hand. What was Lapo like heading into the tournament? What was the messaging to the fellas, knowing the opportunity that was there on the table for you?
Oh, Lapo was very dialed. He knew what we had to do. He prepared us super well. He was so well, kind of adjusted for all these different situations. And his main message to us was, when your best has to show up, your best will show up. And we knew that, obviously you're going to have a few stinker games here and there, but if you need your best to show up, then it will show up. And in that bronze medal game, our best did show up, and we got the job done. And we were just very focused on getting this Olympic bid. And I think he and the coaching staff did a very good job preparing us for that.
I watched you guys in the tough loss, I guess, against the Italians in the semifinal, which led you to the bronze medal game where the stakes were massive, Jackson. I mean, that was a game where if you win, you qualify for the LA Olympics. If you lose, there's still a heck of a lot more work to do. I mean, take us behind the scenes after the semifinal to the preparation, and then tell us a little bit about that game where it meant everything, including booking a ticket to LA.
Yeah, the game versus Italy, it was a super fun game. It was very exciting. There was lots of touchdowns. And like you said, we came up just short in that one. And honestly, I think everybody on the team that really motivated us. Just seeing them celebrate, seeing them grab that Olympic ticket that they're going to LA, like I think it made a lot of us very jealous and a lot of us very motivated. So that next morning, everyone was straight business. We all knew that, we lost in the semifinal, and that'll happen, but we knew that we can still get an Olympic berth here. So everyone was super focused that morning. The coaches watched film all night, and some of the players did as well. And we ended up just preparing in the morning, and we knew we had to get the job done in that game if we wanted to be going to LA right now. So everyone was just super focused, and that game was amazing too. We ended up going to overtime versus Mexico, and offensively we ended up scoring right away, and we got a 2-point convert, and we knew the defense just needed to get a stop for us, and we ended up getting an interception to end the game. So that was a very exciting way to end it.
That certainly was. And then the celebration was on. What was it like afterwards with your teammates and the coaching staff and La Police, knowing that you did what you set out to do when you came out to Germany, get both a medal and, most importantly, book that ticket to 2028?
Oh, it was unreal. It was actually just a surreal feeling, hugging all my teammates, hugging my parents, hugging the fans, everyone that supported us, everyone that invested into us everyone was just so relieved. And, just the joy our team had after, it was awesome. And, we were celebrating, and we were all getting really, really excited for this opportunity. And, cause we just worked so hard for it all summer, pretty much spent 2 to 3 months straight, just working flag with each other. And, we were all working towards this one goal, and to be able to achieve this goal with that group of people, it's unreal.
You mentioned when we were talking about just the explosion and the growth of flag football, the women, and how big it is amongst female players, how it's growing. We got to give some love to the girls. I mean, they will get the gold medal, win the world championship, book their ticket. How close were you with the team? I mean, were you guys together at times? And I mean, how much of an inspiration was seeing what they did on the field for you guys, knowing that you just had to win that game against Mexico to follow them to the Olympics?
Yeah, we would hang out with the girls team when we could. We were on the bus together a lot of the times. We would eat together. Obviously our schedules are a bit different, like their game times and meetings were different, but we always made sure to support each other, go to each other's games, watch each other's games online. And like you said, seeing them win that gold, like that, I think that lights a fire in everyone on the men's team's belly, just because, seeing them do it, it was great. And, seeing all their emotions after winning that, I think that's something all of us want to experience. So, kudos to them. They have a great team. And, I think everyone in the world is just going to be striving to be like them, really.
So you get back to Winnipeg. I'm sure a little bit of R&R right now, but I mean, we all know we've got that few weeks in 2028 circled. What's next for you? And how does the flag program work now that you know what is to come? But obviously, everyone is back. I mean, many people back in Quebec. You're here in Winnipeg. What's the next schedule for the team? Whether it be events, getting together to practice, as you continue to try to build to be your best in a couple of years.
Yeah, I think what's next to come, I think we'll have a month or two off to, like you said, just rest and recover, kind of debrief from that summer. And then I think when October, November comes around, we'll get together for a training camp and just start practicing again. So it's great that we got that bid, but from now on, like the real work starts, I guess, and we got to start preparing for LA. So October, November, we'll get together for a training camp and we'll get the boys rolling again.
This has got to be a little bit probably welcome, but a little weird for you. I mean, you've been a student athlete, you've been playing on 2 Bison teams, you're going to pro camps, you're playing world flag football in Germany. Now you come back. I mean, do you actually have a little bit of downtime right now, Jackson?
Yeah. This whole week is, I think I got back on Tuesday, and this whole week I've made sure to not really do much. I kind of want to give myself a mental break and kind of just relax. And I get to go to the cabin this weekend, so I'm really looking forward to that, to just kick my feet up, get some sun, and go swimming and all that.
Yeah, no training camp, no exhibition games in Canada West, no bus ride out to Regina this week.
Yeah.
I mean, and hey, listen, well earned after what you and your teammates were able to do in Germany. Got to ask you, now that we know the future of the flag program for the next couple of years, is that your 100% focus? I mean, do you still hold pro aspirations? Will you be trying out another CFL camp, or for the next couple of years, is it pretty clear you want to be an Olympian and want to do your best to win an Olympic gold medal for Canada?
Yeah, I think if I got any calls for pro, I would definitely, take them and, see what they're saying. But at the same time, I'm very focused on flag. I think the future of this sport is enormous, and I want to be a part of this kind of groundbreaking thing, to have it at the first year at the Olympics. So, I'm just going to be focused on flag pretty much, just trying to get all my skills better for it. Because obviously tackle and flag are pretty similar, but there are some different skills that you have to acquire that are a bit different. So I'll just be working on that and, trying to make our team better.
Well, listen, I got to tell you, there were so many people pulling for the entire team, but especially you, with this great opportunity and doing it with Coach LaPolice. I know he was so excited to get you into the program, and obviously it all worked out incredibly well. Jackson, an absolute pleasure having you on the program. Go enjoy a great weekend at the lake, get a little bit of R&R. I know it'll be back on the grind. Looking forward to 2028 with the Canadian flag team. Absolute pleasure having you on the program. All the best, and congrats again to you and your team.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me, Andrew. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Oh, man, that was a fun conversation with Jackson. What a player he was for the U of M, and great to see him getting a chance to do his thing with Lapo and the Canadian national team. Connor, you actually, you and Jackson are old classmates.
Yes, went to high school at Jackson. He was a year older, so maybe not technically classmates, but funny story. I was at a Bombers practice when he was there. Obviously, he was at Bombers camp for a number of days, and he came up and was talking, "Hey, how's it going?" And I thought maybe from high school, I remember Jackson. We weren't like friends or anything, but I remember him. He's a year older, and he was like, "Man, my family loves the show. You're on my TV all the time." And I was like, "Oh, that's great." So big WST family, the Tuchinskis, and congrats to Jackson and all the Canadian men's flag football players, and the women too, winning gold, world champions. That is an incredible accomplishment. And the men bronze and punching their ticket to the Olympics. It's awesome.
Yeah, I know they are a WST family. I had the pleasure of meeting his mom at I think it was a Bomber game. It might have been a Bison game, but probably a Bomber game. And she said that, yeah, they'd been longtime listeners and love the show. And I said, well, we got to get Jackson on sometime. And we finally did it. So, and lots of love and congratulations for him in the chat. I see our guy, Mike Wynn, who is there. Ding, ding, Jackson.
Ding, ding.
Spoke of what a great leader he was. And of course, Mike's son, Zach, is now, I think, in his senior year. Another just awesome dude. So we'll have to.
I played basketball with Zach growing up. Winnipeg's a small place, man.
Dude, it's 1 degree, one degree separation.
Yeah.
Zach, that whole the Wynn family. I always tell Mike, they are the first family of sports in Winnipeg. If there's a game on, you will see the Winns there, whether it's the Bombers, the Jets.
Yeah.
He, of course, shout out Section 316, has a seat right beside me. But yeah, their whole family is just awesome. But anyways, congratulations to Jackson, Lapo, and the whole squad. Just so cool that he's very likely. I mean, this team is going to the Olympic Games in Los Angeles in 2028. And talking with Lapo off air, he was so excited for the sort of athlete that he is, how he fits into the flag game. And obviously it paid off in Germany. We are going to get back to the Bombers and check in with the club in Edmonton. Ed Tait is next as WST continues. Marbles still to come. Hard to believe that hockey season is just about here, but if you head down to Royal Sports at 750 Pembina Highway, you'll know that it is. Royal Sports has been Manitoba's hockey superstore for over 50 years. And with players getting back into camps, training, and getting ready for training camps, the Royal Sports hockey department is a very busy place. For new players, they've got you covered from top to bottom, whether it's sticks, skates, equipment for goalies. Royal has it all. And the best part about it is they've got hockey players working in the hockey department to make sure they're getting you fitted properly and getting the right equipment for your level and need. It's not just hockey, though, of course. We've got everything coming from the summer. Huge selection of bikes and e-bikes, soccer, softball, baseball, tennis. And for your fan gears coming in, new NHL merch and new NFL merch coming by the week. It's all waiting for you at Royal Sports, Manitoba's sports superstore, 750 Pembina Highway. Give them a follow on Instagram for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. What a run and season it's been for our Winnipeg Goldeyes, who did not sweep the weekend. The incredible franchise record winning streak ended at 13. But it's time to start another one with a big week-long homestand beginning tomorrow night on Toonie Tuesday with all those great concession specials. The Goldeyes are right in it, taking a run at first place, and it's going to be an incredibly exciting final month of the season. So make sure to get out for some Goldeyes baseball this week, starting on Tuesday, right through Sunday. Goldeyes.com/tickets is where you're going to want to get your seats. Make sure to get them into your phone digitally so you can just walk right into the game and avoid lines. And you can go to goldeyes.com for more information on the remaining schedule as well as promo nights. We'll have Andrew Collier set up to see the homestand hopefully tomorrow on the program, but make plans to get out to the ballpark this week. Goldeyes are playing some great baseball, and there's nothing like Blue Cross Park in the summer. Speaking of the summer, there's still some time to get out and do some great things, folks. And if you are planning another adventure, make sure to start with Travel Manitoba. Whether you're searching for road trip inspiration, hidden gems, or the latest festivals and events, everything you need is waiting at travelmanitoba.com. Looking for ideas on the go? Follow along on social media at Travel Manitoba for real-time inspiration, local tips, and can't-miss experiences from across the province. Or if you want a personal touch, pop down to the Visitor Information Center at the Forks in Winnipeg. One of those great things to do in Manitoba during the summer is hit up Assiniboia Downs, and they are back with live racing tomorrow and Wednesday this week, 7:30 post time. Of course, that's free parking, free admission, and all the great times at Assiniboia Downs. They do also, a date to remember is August 24th. a couple Mondays from now. They'll be back at it with a special Monday night of live racing. It's the Monday Madness concession deals, and the Wiener Dogs are back. They were such a big hit earlier this year. So make a point of getting down to Assiniboia Downs, and if you do want to really do it up, make a reservation in the clubhouse dining room. Get on that prime rib buffet and enjoy the racing from the clubhouse dining room. But whether you're in the third level, on the grounds, in the dining room, there's nothing like a night at Assiniboia Downs. All right, let's head out to E-Town and welcome in Eddie Tait from BlueBombers.com before tonight's 8:30 kickoff on TSN. Edward, thank you so much for the time. How are you, my friend?
Fantastic, Huss and Connor. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. It's a great day for some football. Great day to go on the road and win a game. What's the vibe around the team like going into? This is a big one. I mean, Edmonton's in first place, and despite an underwhelming first half of the season for the Bombers, this team is at 5-4. If they win this game and BC can beat Saskatchewan, we could go into Monday. Jeff Hamilton and I could be doing CFL 110 talking about a Bomber team that is a half game out of first place in the West.
Yeah, you've kind of hit a lot of things there right in a row, Huss. I think the team sees the opportunity here. You can't be, we've written about it and talked about what's ahead for this team with Edmonton tonight, Montreal next week, and then the back-to-back with Saskatchewan. Those teams are a combined 21-7. So, it's a murderer's row for Winnipeg coming up right now. But you can't be afraid of that, right? And I think these guys think that you're right. They've underwhelmed through the first half of the season. Even in the win over Ottawa, a lot of people were kind of left wanting with that. So, I'll tell you, there's still a pretty good belief in the locker room that these guys can get this thing figured out. I wrote the other day that if this team could get out of its own way, sometimes it would, we'd probably be talking about a 6-3, 7-2, even at this part of the season. I'm still of the belief, and maybe I'm naive, that if you add Jake Serezna, Tim White, Jonathan Moxey, Jarrell Broxton, all these guys in the offseason, that this made this team better. We just haven't seen the evidence of it yet. And now it's time, right? Now it's time. The second half starts. You're on the road here. Get it done and start proving some people that you're as good as we thought you were going to be at the beginning of the year. It's time right now.
Ed, I have to think that Brady is the engine of this offense. And I think that success on the ground is twofold tonight. First of all, I think establishing the run would do wonders to open things up a little bit more for the passing game. Zach's been able to get the ball to Tim White, been able to get the ball to Nick Dembski, has not had much success getting it to Ontario Wilson. And I think starting it off with keeping that defense honest would help that. But the other thing is that the opposite side running the football for Edmonton is a bread and butter. They had 38 minutes of possession in that game against Toronto last week. So I do think that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers not only are going to want to move the football, the chains, control the ball, but you're also going to want to keep that defense somewhat fresh, considering what they're going to be dealing with when the Elks have the football.
Yeah, and that's been the formula for Winnipeg for so long, right, Huss? We saw last week against in the game against Ottawa, especially early, that all those throws to Brady finished with 8 catches for 80 yards. And I think of that 2nd and 17 where Drew Brown was at quarterback and he turned it into, a 3rd and 1 with an amazing play. He's a weapon as a receiver. And, but then what happened in that game was Ottawa, to their credit, kind of took Brady out of the game in the second half a little bit. Now, you could argue that they should have still fed the ball to Brady a lot in the 3rd and 4th quarters. They didn't. But to your point, if you look at the stats, and this is something I mentioned in a story this week, Pokey Wilson, Tommy Neild, and Gavin Cobb combined for 1 catch last week. And I'm sorry, that's not going to get you wins against Saskatchewan, Edmonton, Montreal, and these games ahead. You've got to get more production. And so to your point, you've got to establish Brady. You've got to, stay on the field, give your defense a breather. But whatever it takes to move the chains and get into the end zone, Pokey Wilson dropped a touchdown pass last week, and he basically was invisible. You need more from Tommy Neild. You need more from Gavin Cobb. everybody's got to kind of contribute. This offense is still really, really, really a work in progress. And we need to start seeing some evidence from some other guys that they can be contributors outside of Dembski, White, and Brady. It's time for some of these other guys to step up, and that's the formula. And to your point about Rankin, the scary thing about him is, man, you can hold him to 2 yards, 1 yard, 2 yards on 3-4 carries in a row, and then it's 80, right? He's that explosive, and that's the thing that concerns me against the Winnipeg defense that's been pretty vulnerable against the run this season.
Yeah, and it's like their ability to keep Rankin more so in check. I mean, like last week, go give Toronto credit. I mean, he had 16 carries. I think he was under 3 yards a carry. He didn't bust that big one. Busting big ones against the Bomber defense has been something that's happened in the first half of the season, and being able to stop the likes of the Horvaths and the Mills, has been a real challenge for them. And to me, I mean, that is where I'm going to be looking, because I think we pretty much know what the Bomber offense can do passing wise. Cody, I thought, thinking back to the first game that these two teams played, Ed, I thought the Bomber defense, for the most part, did a real good job against Fajardo and the Edmonton offense. They were gifted so many opportunities, but the short fields on the turnovers early on, they actually held them to a couple field goals to keep them in the game. But then it was Cody being clutch at the end of the game with that one final drive after blowing that lead that ended up being the difference in the football game. But I mean, there are a bunch of things they can look back at the first game between these two teams and realize we do a bit better job of taking care of the football. This is a very winnable opponent for us, considering, what happened to us a month or two ago.
Yeah, you're bang on. I mean, I mentioned off the top here about this team kind of getting its own way sometimes, and that game against Edmonton and Winnipeg was the classic example of that. They had 6 fumbles in that game, lost 3. Zach took a pounding. I think he was sacked 3 times. Sergio missed a couple of field goals, and they lost by 5. So, if you can clean some of that up, to your point too, some of those fumbles were deep in Winnipeg territory, then that game looks different. And maybe we're talking about or looking at this Blue Bombers team in a different manner than we are right now, as a team that's still flawed at 5-4. And we're all want some more answers, some more positive answers. You get one result like that earlier in the year, and maybe that changes the narrative a little bit. But I think Winnipeg can play with Edmonton. Look, I think they can run with them. The way Montreal's playing, that's scary. And I think Winnipeg can run with Saskatchewan. So you've got to look at this series of 4 games coming up as you got to think, you got to try to go 3-1, 2-2. And I know they'll say in the clubhouse, we got to win all 4 and we got to do one at a time and all that stuff, go 1-0 each week. But to me, the big picture here is if you go 2-2 even in these next 4, or 3-1 would be obviously amazing, then you've set yourself up pretty good in a West Division race that you said right off the top is going to be crazy, man. It's going to go right to the end, I think, as to who's going to be in, who's going to be out. And there's going to be, I think, a 5th place team in this division that might even be 500 that's going to miss playoffs, which is scary.
Yeah, I mean, the hierarchy of the West right now in power polls and standings is a little different. But as I said, the Bombers can completely change a lot of the narratives around their team with a win tonight. And I would suggest this too, not only guys like us and Hammer and I, when we're talking about all the teams on CFL 110, like give the Bombers a little more credit. That doesn't really matter. What does matter though is the standings, but also the way this team feels inside. And I would suggest, Ed, that if they can go out and play their best game of the season, find a way to win, that's some momentum you can take into a game next week where they'll be an underdog at Princess Auto Stadium, which has not happened very often over the course of the last 8 or 9 years.
No, you're right. And in a lot of ways, it sounds funny, but they needed last week's win to start that momentum. And we can argue about how that win looked and the flaws in it and all that, but it was a win. And let's not forget how important and how hard that is in this league. So that got it started. And a few guys that I talked to this week, including Jarrell Broxton, mentioned that that's all you needed sometimes to get the ball rolling in the right direction. But to your point, Huss, if they come into Edmonton here and beat the first place team in the division, a team that's 7-3 and look really good, like you said, against Toronto last week, then I think we open our eyes a little bit more about how good this team can be. But more importantly, I think the guys in the locker room start to think, they get the validation they need, right? I always say that each game in the CFL is like a referendum, right? If you win, everything looks great, and if you lose, then everybody needs to be fired and all that kind of stuff. That's just the way it is, and in the sporting world right now. But I think for the guys in the clubhouse, man, a win tonight would be massive. You could carry that into next week, and then just imagine the vibe with Montreal coming in, and you've won 2 in a row, a big win over Edmonton. That game next Friday will be just rocking. It would be anyway, but if Winnipeg can come into that having won 2 in a row, including this one here in Edmonton, boy, that all of a sudden looks like a lot more tasty matchup than it does right now.
Eddie, just while you're at it, I got to ask you, I mean, what do you make of the plight of the Red Blacks? Just pounded in last night. 0-10 on the season.
When we were in Ottawa early in the year and Winnipeg rallied to beat them in overtime, I know Ryan Dinwiddie well from covering him when he was the Blue Bombers quarterback and then in the league. And he was walking by. I was writing in the tunnel outside of the locker room, and he was walking by and he stopped to say hello. And I said, I think you got something that you look like you're building something here, Ryan. And, I think the walls have fallen down now, right? It just doesn't look like they look lost to me. And to me, I've seen this with the Blue Bombers. I think it was 98. They lost 10 in a row to start a season. And at some point, you just need a little bit of sunshine to shine on your team. Otherwise, it's this defeatist attitude just envelopes your team. And you can be leading in the third quarter and one play goes against you and the belief just evaporates. And I think that's what I see with Ottawa. I was watching that game last night. They're up 7-0. They're driving. Everything's like, this is unbelievable. And then Mayer throws that pick in the end zone. I think he was into double coverage. Those are the mistakes that all of a sudden it's like a big needle in the balloon. And it just, I feel for the people in Ottawa. I think that can be a really good football town. It has been in the past. But man, they've made so many mistakes on and off the field. And I hope they can get it right, because when it is right, that building will be full and it'll be fun. It's just too bad to see it happen. We've seen it happen in Winnipeg. We've seen it happen in a lot of markets, and nobody needs to be that bad.
That I really think that week 7 game, and listen, they had already had a terrible start, but I think that game just broke them, because it was, the amount of mistakes they had to make in the fourth quarter to lose that game were significant. And obviously Shakur Brown got cut a couple weeks afterwards, and Gino Lewis is gone. And, you mentioned 98. I brought this up with Hammer earlier, but the Bombers did go 0-10 that season. We remember who the head coach was. That was, of course, Jeff Reinbold, who was the defensive coordinator of the Ottawa Red Blacks. And I joked with Hammer, I wonder if Ottawa wins at home next week against BC for their first win of the season to go 1-10, if the Red Blacks put Ryan Dinwiddie on their shoulders and carry him off the field like happened at Winnipeg Stadium. Yeah, I don't think so either.
Well, if you remember that game too, it was Troy Kopp, I believe, that came off the bench. Nobody had really heard of him, and he had an amazing 15 minutes in the fourth quarter to lead the Bombers to victory. Yeah. So that's what I worry about with Ottawa, when they've got Jake Mayer, who clearly isn't the answer, and then when they trot out McLeod Bethel-Thompson there later in the game, I'm just rolling my eyes. They need to find a Davis Alexander. Every franchise would love to have that, but they need to find their next young guy. Maybe they've got it in that Barnes kid, I don't know, but for me, I would want to start getting those answers now. Why wait till free agency? Why wait till the off season? Find the answer now at the most important position on the field.
Eddie, appreciate the time. Cannot wait for it. Obviously, lots cooking over at bluebombers.com before and after the game for Bomber fans.
Yeah, we got most of our content crew is here today, so we should have lots of stuff. Our stories will be up as soon as we can after the game. Lots of videos, and the usual upon further review, and then leading into next week. And hopefully, this team is still in a good mood as we prepare for Montreal.
All right, fingers crossed for a great performance tonight in Edmonton. It is a big one against the first place Edmonton Elks. Been a long time since we've said that about a Bomber at Edmonton game, but they're rolling right now. They seem to have some momentum. We'll see whether the Bombers can get her done tonight. 8:30 start on TSN. Dusty and Luke with the call. Ed, we'll look forward to all of your coverage and the team at bluebombers.com. Good luck to the fellas tonight and have yourself a great weekend.
Appreciate you, Huss. See you, Connor.
Right on. There is Ed Tait, bluebombers.com. Tons of pregame coverage there for you, and of course afterwards as well. We're going to go from 3-down football to 4-down football, the NFL Notebook with Lee Hacksaw Hamilton just around the corner on Winnipeg Sports Talk. I saw our pal Doug Brown making the most of the bye week on the weekend. Doug was out at Aikens Lake pulling out some massive fish out of the water. There's still great catches to be had and great times this fishing season, but Aikens Lake is planning well into 2027 right now. If you're thinking about a corporate trip, a family trip, maybe something that you've been waiting to do for many years, booking is going well into 2027 right now. So if you're looking for a fly-in fishing experience where you can be on the water in just a couple hours from Winnipeg with world-class fishing and even more world-class hospitality, that is what the Aikens experience is all about. Check them out online at aikenslake.com or all their social channels at Aikens Lake for more information on remaining availability for 2026 and booking into 2027. Lots going on in the golf course these days. We had Mitchell Brennan run away with the PGA Tour event on the Wyndham, and now it's on to the playoffs. But I can tell you the Breezy Bend Golf Report for this weekend is that Breezy Bend is absolutely mint and immaculate. Got a chance to play there on the weekend, just had a great time with some friends, and holy smokes, is the course in great shape. I think many of our courses are, but we're seeing now, some of the new greens that they built over the last couple of years, the course improvements really starting to take hold and take shape. If you are thinking about a great long-term home for you and your family at one of Winnipeg's top private courses, check out breezybend.ca. Or give our pal Corey Johnson a call at 895-7205 for more information on Breezy Bend for 2027. All right, we'll continue the show, but first up, let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, let's get to the NFL Notebook. We'll open up marbles in just a second. Exclamation mark marbles. You know how to do it. Let's bring in the man himself, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Check out the website, leehacksawhamilton.com, and make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. What is going on, Lee? How are you on this lovely Friday afternoon?
Well, I'm better than some NFL teams who have quarterback problems. And boy, there were some weird games last night as we marched into weekend 2 of the NFL preseason schedule. And tell you, there's a raft of injuries around the league. So, yeah, there are a lot of different topics on the table here on Beer Friday, and we're halfway through preseason. We got one more preseason game, and then we set the stage for the start of the regular season.
I've been very fascinated to see where things go with the Terrion Arnold situation. Top young corner for the Detroit Lions, got into some pretty serious legal trouble over the course of the offseason. I believe felony kidnapping charges and whatnot. So the Lions release him. He picked up by the Seahawks. Is he going to play this year, Lee? Where's the NFL at in all of this? Because it's one of the stories that usually get guys plenty of time on that commissioner's exempt list.
Well, at the end of the day, it's been a really wretched off season for Roger Goodell, Hustler. He's got about 8 or 9 players that have been involved in some real serious stuff off the field. And they went through the whole spring and OTA workouts, and all these guys were allowed to practice. And all these guys who were free agents like Terrion Arnold were allowed to make free agent visits. And I kept asking myself, because Roger Goodell is the one that made the public statement, it is a privilege to play in the NFL, and with that privilege comes your responsibility. And yet Terrion Arnold is making all these free agent visits after he got released within a week of getting arrested. And again, he's involved in a vigilante kidnapping issue, 8 felony counts in which he allegedly hired friends of his to go kidnap a driver of his whom he believes stole $100,000 in jewels and pictures and memorabilia from a summer home in Key Largo, Florida. Arnold says he's innocent, but everybody else seems to be pointing a finger that he was the architect of this whole thing. And he's got 8 felony counts against him. He was finally released on $1 million bond, and the proviso is he can't leave the country. Proviso is, yes, he can go make free agent visits. He went to 5 or 6 different clubs, and I kept asking myself, this is real serious stuff. He goes to Seattle 10 days ago. Seahawks interview him. Seahawks know the history, and they're about to sign him. And the National Football League then informs the Seahawks, you have a right to sign him. We will place him on the commissioner's exempt list immediately, and you will be on the hook for the salary cap hit, signing bonus, etc., till we decide what kind of sanction he gets once this legal process is finalized. And this legal process is going to take a wide period of time to get done. Suddenly, Seattle backed away from him, and they went out and signed Trevon Diggs, former Green Bay Dallas Cowboy guy, within 2 days after backing away from this controversial guy. Armstead's got, I should say, Terrion Arnold's got himself a real serious set of problems because these are real serious accounts with guns, pistol whipping, kidnapping, death threats, etc. And people who've been arrested, I think, have kind of turned state's evidence against him, pointing the finger, said, yeah, he was the architect. He hired us. I mean, it's a sleazy story. And then on top of all that, the NFL just suspended Atlanta's top pass rusher, James Pierce, and he was involved in a really bad incident, domestic abuse that turned into felony assault of the woman he was dating, a WNBA star, and felony assault of a police officer who tried to intercede. James Pierce tried to run the guy over, the cop, with his car. And he's got 3 felonies hanging over him. They've tried to plea bargain down. NFL just suspended him for the first half of the entire season. Like I say, there's 6 other guys out there, including Puka Nacua of the Rams, who are involved in off-season junk. So Goodell's not had a good off-season as it relates to handling discipline. And boy, there's a lot of players making a lot of stupid decisions out there. But the Arnold thing is staggering, considering that was a high first-round draft pick in Detroit. Got rid of him within days of the arrest.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's a big loss for the Lions, but I mean, you can't count on guys that are going to potentially be in the clink when you're out playing playing football games this year, and obviously the NFL doling out some punishment as well. Lee, it's been I don't even know why these teams do these joint practices, because it just ends up being like the WWE Royal Rumble. But we literally got some WWE Royal Rumble. For any of you that remember Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner, his son Brock Rex Steiner is in camp, I believe, with the Cowboys or the Saints. They had a massive brawl. He executed a perfect German suplex in that brawl, but it seemed like everyone has it. I mean, there were some big time fines for that. What was it, $500,000 to each team?
Yeah, $500,000 for each team. The clubs are also going to fine the respective guys that triggered all this, individual fines from the club. For the most part, this kind of got out of control a couple of years ago, and the league really imposed their will. Guys, these are practice sessions. We understand this intensity. You need to keep this within the line. You guys can't do this during the regular season, so why would you ever allow a player to tolerate this to happen? But this was real bad stuff in the Dallas-New Orleans thing. They were on 2 different practice fields, offense, defense, 1s and 2s against each other. There were 4 different fights. They had to stop the practices because teams were running from one field to the other to get involved. I mean, it was very ugly. I think there's a total of 9 players. You know, and once you get helmets ripped off and guys swinging helmets at other guys' heads who aren't wearing their helmets, that's really dangerous stuff. And why do it? We all know everybody who plays in the league's a tough guy. Why would you ever do this? So, and this is the worst I've seen in a long time. Most coaches kind of agree. We're putting a lid on this. We're not going to have any of this. You know, the 49ers went through 2 days of controlled workouts with the Chargers this week before their preseason game last night. And Jim Harbaugh And Kyle Shanahan just lectured their players and said, we're not going to tolerate any of this because you can't do it in the season. We're not going to let you try to get away from it. And yet we had a catastrophic injury in the Charger game caused by a Charger player to one of his own teammates in what I thought was a terrible cheap shot. So the league's, the workouts between teams have great value because it's high intensity, high speed, ones versus ones. But put a lid on this, all this cheap stuff, because everybody wants to be a macho guy. How stupid is that?
You mentioned the Chargers. They got whooped last night by the Niners in a preseason game, but I know you mentioned they are already having a bit of a bad week, and it got worse.
Yeah, it really did. They had a really good first preseason game. Now, they didn't play their starters, but it was the debut of Mike McDaniel's high-octane offense. It was really impressive when they beat the Houston Texans. But they came back last night. They had practice against the 49ers early in the week, and they were electric. And that was ones versus ones. And I was like, holy cow. They get into the game last night, and they were flat. They were terrible. And they lost their starting center in the controlled practice when he got taken out by a 49er defensive tackle who got knocked down, and an offensive guard of the Chargers picked the 49er tackle up and threw him into the pile, and he hit the Chargers offensive center and suffered a catastrophic knee injury. I mean, it was gruesome. I've seen the video of it. It was just, how could you ever do that? First of all, if you ever did that during a game, that's a 15-yard penalty and probably a massive fine for the cheap shot. You did it, and you hurt your own starting center, and this is the guy supposed to be the cornerstone of your front. They're trying to fix the offensive line to protect the quarterback, Justin Herbert, who's been sacked 105 times in the last 2 years. It's just gruesome. So that was really bad. And the Chargers, they lost another offensive lineman last night with a neck injury, and one of their wide receivers went out with a rib injury. And at one point, I turned it off in the fourth quarter. It was 41-9 San Francisco. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And this is a Charger team that views itself as being elite. So they got one more preseason game, and then they open the season. But again, they haven't played their number ones. Can't wait to see what they're going to be that first weekend of September when we start talking about the games that count for real. Because this new offense with Mike McDaniel and the quarterback, Justin Herbert, I think it's going to be dynamic. But yeah, they've really had a bad week here in Southern California.
While we're staying out west, what's the latest on Matt Stafford and the Rams preparation for the upcoming season? And while we're at it, speaking of QBs, we got a chance to see number 1 overall pick Fernando Mendoza for the first time get out there last night. Had a pick 6, but just starting to feel it.
Well, let me give you a quick response on the Raiders. All of a sudden, Kubiak, the head coach, is wavering. Is it going to be Kirk Cousins? Or is it going to be Mendoza come opening weekend? Mendoza's taken all the snaps with the number 1s this week. And Cousins has only had 1 series in 2 preseason games. And you would have thought, well, if Kirk Cousins is going to be my bridge guy for this first year, shouldn't he be practicing more with the number 1s? Well, he hasn't. And they're kind of force-feeding Mendoza. Mendoza's first game, I thought, was solid. Last night, wow. He threw a pick 6 that covered 80 yards. He got sacked twice. He took 5 hits. He was very indecisive. He really had a bad start. He stabilized into the second quarter of the game. And oddly enough, the Raiders came back with a veteran quarterback in the second half against the Houston's 4th stringers and actually won the game. But I think, Mendoza's eyes were opened. Welcome to the reality. You got a really bad offensive line. Welcome to the reality. You don't have any game-changing wide receivers. So there's still a lot of work to be done. The Raiders have to check off a lot more boxes aside from just having the number 1 pick in the drafted quarterback. They've not solved all their other issues. And by the way, their defense isn't very good either. So Mendoza went through kind of a learning curve game. As it relates to the Rams, obviously Matthew Stafford, superstar, future Hall of Famer, will be the guy. But we were all fascinated here on the West Coast when we watched Tyler Simpson go 21 for 25 in his first game. And he was not rattled. He showed composure. He went through his progressions. He was really impressive. And again, he's going to get his chance to start again, probably in this second game. Now, at this point, Tyler Simpson, the number 1 pick, maybe the quarterback of the future, he's 3rd on the depth chart with the Rams right now. And the other NFL story, you'll have to sneak and peek across the border sometime by midweek. The Rams want Aaron Donald, the superstar defensive tackle who's contemplating coming out of retirement. They really want a decision this week. They've let him set his own pace for his own workouts. He's had private workouts for the Rams coaches. But they got 2 weeks before the start of the season. He really needs to be in full gear and go through some full contact to actually be an NFL playing stage health. I mean, he's healthy. He can pump iron, lift weights, run, and all that, but he's not hit anybody. And he's got to take some bumps and bruises. So they're asking for a decision. Maybe by Wednesday, we'll get a much better idea as to whether he's ready to go and ready to make that commitment.
Lee, if he signs, I mean, this is a big money team. Like, how do they work with the cap? And like, what's the expectation of a contract for a guy that is as established as anyone, but just hasn't played for a couple of years? And they've probably made some decisions that make it difficult to kind of pay him what he's worth.
That's a viable question. He retired out of the clear blue sky. Nobody saw this coming 2 years ago. He's had a great 10-year career. He's never had any major injuries, and he's a workout fanatic. He had a year left on his contract. And the year left on his contract paid him the state-of-the-art $30 million. Now, he's in retirement. He's still owed a year. But if he comes back, I don't know from a cap standpoint if the Rams can handle $30 million at this point. Now, maybe they restructure it differently. Maybe he comes back as a part-time player. Maybe he comes back as strictly a third-down rusher at defensive tackle. Maybe he doesn't want to come back, or maybe physically he can't come back and play 65 snaps at defensive tackle. So there's still a great unknown. But I think there'll probably be some restructure of the contract, and there'll be incentive clauses based on snaps, et cetera. But I don't think they can actually pay him the full $30 million that he had left on the contract when he decided to step away.
Hacksaw, before we go, we're going to be focusing in more on what's happening on the field. But you know what we haven't talked about for a while, and I'm interested to get an update on? What's the latest on the Brian Flores lawsuit with the National Football League?
Big story. This thing has got legs here. Brian Flores, of course, is suing the league for racial discrimination. He went through interview processes to get a head coaching job, and he was offered a head coaching interview, and then he found out after the fact the job had already been offered to somebody else. And he was very taken back by that. And he's filed a lawsuit for racial discrimination. 2 other former head coaches have now tagged their name into the Brian Flores lawsuit. So there's actually 3 guys, and the NFL's tried to put this in arbitration. And the lawyers have impressed the judge to the fact this guy was an independent contractor. This guy was not under contract to anybody when he interviewed. So you can't force him into arbitration. Arbitration is if a player, a coach has a problem with a club that he's employed by. Goodell lost in that, and the judge ordered them to go to court. Now, on top of that, as they've done discovery for this lawsuit, I just found out about this 2 days ago. There's a consulting firm called Korn Ferry, which does consulting for the National Football League. They evidently sent out a memo to the league and all the clubs how to structure interviews with potential head coaching clients. Now, the judge has sealed what was in the letter, but it's been reported the letter is a smoking gun about racial discrimination that Flores has alleged. Now I find out there's 21 other NFL African-American minority coaches who've now agreed to testify with Flores' case about how they were treated and whether those interviews that they got were rigged. In essence, they're saying the Rooney Rule no longer works, and teams, based on what Korn Ferry sent them as an advisory how to conduct these interviews might have been rigged. I don't know the specifics, but I sense that Korn Ferry might have said, if you're going to interview a former African-American head coach, this should be the structure. If you're going to interview an assistant coach who's never been a head coach, this should be the structure. Different from if you're interviewing a white coach. That to me looks pretty bad. That was kind of insinuated to me. So, but that I was told that letter they discovered in discovery, that's going to be part of this trial. I think the NFL's got themselves a real problem. One of the NFL insiders that I conversed with said, this is a smoking gun. It's a big, big story. So it's not going to happen. The trial's not going to happen a week from Monday. This sucker's going to be dragged out, but just connect the dots on this one.
NFL just around the corner. Big baseball games this weekend. We got a CFL cooking, hockey coming up. It is a fun time of the year, but it's really going to get going in a couple of weeks. So have yourself a wonderful weekend. Go crack a cold one for Beer Friday.
1919s on frosted glasses to you too. We'll talk to you next Friday. Thanks, Huss.
Have a great one, folks. Check out the YouTube channel. Give him a sub at Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, and it's leehacksawhamilton.com. Best 15 minutes you'll spend each and every day. It'll probably take you half an hour to get through it all. All right. We have a lot of people fired up to play some marbles. Let's get Connor Hrabchak back in here. Connor, how's the chat hanging in there today?
A lot of marbles, a lot of people fired up for marbles. Welcome back, everyone. We've been here all week. But yes, marbles fired up. Everyone's ready for the Bomber game. And I did run a poll earlier, Huss, on the confidence going into tonight's game. That was your why not question of the day. 41%, the leading vote, it'll be a close game. 30% not optimistic. 22% feeling a win. And 7% say Winnipeg has no chance. That is out of 105 votes going into tonight's game, where the Bombers are roughly a 5.5 point underdog in Edmonton.
I have been, since I got up today, game day, I've been slowly trying to work myself into a winning mentality. I realize this is
win the day. Win the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Win the day.
Let's find a way. Let's do last call for marbles.
Sure.
And let's get to today's picks and lines. CFL tonight, everybody. It's the Bombers and the Elks. It has been pretty steady at 5.5. And if it was 23-18 last time. Was that the final score?
In Winnipeg, yeah.
So Bombers getting 5.5. Winnipeg is actually the money line's gone down a little bit. It was 220 earlier. It's plus 210 for the Bombers to win. The Elks are minus 263, and the total for this one is 59. Hamilton's still 4.5 point dogs tomorrow, and BC's now up to 2-point favorites in the Sunday game. But if you go over to the exclusives, cooked this one up with a Wannock earlier today. And this is kind of a more of a neutral play. This is not based on a win or a loss. But Edmonton and Winnipeg both to score 20 points. And Oliveira and Rankin both to rush for 60 yards and catch 20 yards each or more. So Brady to go 60 plus on the ground, 20 or more in the air. Same thing with Rankin, and 20 points on either side. Cool Bet Boys always doing us a nice favor with a nice little boost up to plus 625. I actually really like this one. I mean, I do think the Bombers, hopefully the Bombers be able to put up 20 plus and, compete in this game. That's certainly a path to being in one. And I think both of the star running backs are going to get their fair share of opportunities to make things happen. It is mandatory for the Bombers to get Brady Oliveira going if they're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that Edmonton looks at what the Bombers have and haven't done against running backs this year and will look to maybe juice up their offense and get another big game out of Rankin.
Yeah, I do worry. I mean, Rankin has been so hit and miss this year, right? But against Winnipeg's run defense, this could certainly be a hit game for him. And then Brady Oliveira, I really like the 20 plus receiving yards coming off of last week's game where he had 80. And I think the Bombers maybe realized something there. If Zach Claus doesn't have his first read, he can check it down and find one of the best players in the CFL, and he can get 8 to 12 yards in an instant and make multiple people miss. So I like this one. I think both teams will be over 20. We'll see with Oliveira and Rankin getting 60 plus yards, but I think they both get over the 20 plus receiving yards for sure. And it's an interesting one, and it doesn't include anything that, no Elks ML, which I think is a lot easier for people
that's the thing. I didn't want any piece of the Elks. This is basically a negotiated parlay with a Wannock.
Yeah.
It was the Edmonton / Winnipeg. One that both, if you're an Elk fan, you can get on this. If you're a Bomber fan, you can get on this.
Yeah.
But as they say, I may have to back up my manufactured optimism with a Bomber money line play tonight. If you rode with Hammer and myself on the CFL 110 parlay, we're liking last night's crushing of Ottawa by the Montreal Alouettes. We've also got what do we need? We need Hamilton plus 4.5 tomorrow, and then BC to win, excuse me, on Sunday night. Big series for the Blue Jays tonight. Connor, 2 out of 3 in the Trop. Now it's time to get greedy and try and win another series. Can you imagine like a 4-2 week, considering what they did last week and what's to come?
Yeah.
Interesting setup, though, tonight for the Jays and the Yankees, because Cy Young favorite Cam Schlittler is on the bump for the Yankees. Meanwhile, it's not going to be Dylan Cease tonight. They're going with the bullpen game, and Mason Fluharty is going to be out getting the start for Toronto tonight.
Well, Huss, the Blue Jays, you don't even have to go back a full week to the last time the Blue Jays won a bullpen game against Cam Schlittler. They did it in Toronto like less than a week ago. So they're going for the same sort of magic. And yeah, I mean, everyone knows, everyone who we've had on the program this week has said that the Trop is a house of horrors for the Toronto Blue Jays. So for them to go in and win 2 of 3, I know a couple of players left that series with injuries. You were never going to come out of the Trop unscathed, but hopefully they can stay healthy. I know Vladdy did his rehab assignment last night. He'll probably get back into the lineup the next couple of days. But yeah, if the bats can stay hot, I mean, Kirk is rolling right now. Kazuo Komodo hit a moonshot. Daz Cameron's hitting bombs. Chuck Mack, Charles McAdoo's making plays. So this team is fun to watch right now, and hopefully they can keep that rolling with a big series in the Bronx.
Jays plus 170 tonight. Yankees minus 213 for you right now over at Coolbet. Some other night's games. Brewers minus 147 at home against the Braves. I don't normally watch the Brewers unless the Miz is on the mound. How about this pitching matchup tonight in this one? Chris Sale for Atlanta and the phenom Jacob Misiorowski, slam dunk for the NL Cy Young, going at it. I love the fact that it's minus 182 for over 8.5 strikeouts for the Miz, plus 118 for over 9. I mean, the guy the most impressive flamethrower I think I've ever seen. Just routinely 104, 103, 105. He is truly a phenom.
He is, and he's an absolute blast to watch, and he's ramped up the velocity even more this year, Huss. Last year, he'd top out at maybe 101, 102. He's going complete games, and in the 9th inning, he'll pump 104 on the corner. Like, what are you supposed to do about that as an MLB hitter? There's 104 coming in on the paint, then he throws a slider at like 93, 94. Like, that just seems impossible to hit. So he's so much fun to watch, and every time, the Brewers are playing and Miz is on the bump, it's must-watch TV.
I think of the 50 fastest pitches in the majors this year, he's got like 42 of them.
Yeah, and he's a starter, and he goes deep into games. Like, it's not like he's a reliever that just comes in and throws 12 pitches. Like, he's throwing 100 pitches. It's crazy.
Yeah, some other key games tonight. Tigers are in KC against the Royals. Astros at home to the A's. Astros a big favorite in that one. White Sox, Mets. Angels, Rangers. I mean, these are the teams that you're looking at with Toronto in the wild card division, if you will. Rangers minus 147. Cleveland's a minus 164 favorite. They are on the road in Colorado against the lowly Rockies. The Twins are in San Diego against the Padres. Padres minus 125. And the Cubs are in Seattle to take on the Mariners. That one's basically a pick'em. So lots to get to right now over at Coolbet. But if you do want to ride with me tonight on that Bomber exclusive, both teams to score 20, and Brady Oliveira and Justin Rankin each to rush for 60 and catch 20, it's plus 625. And that is there in the exclusives. Again, if you missed yesterday's show, head on over to the YouTube channel. For those of you that are NFL fans, we've got about 90 minutes of our best bets from all over the futures board for the upcoming NFL season. Had a lot of fun with Connor, Pat, and Jake, and we went through division winner plays, playoffs, make or miss, all sorts of player props, AFC, NFC, Super Bowl picks. So it is all there for you. Check it out, the NFL Futures Special over on the YouTube channel today. All right. You know what we should do, Connor? If you want to just get the marbles ready.
Yep.
I should do a quick little leaderboard update from what's happening over at Elmhurst for the Manitoba Open. We have a 4-way tie for first place at 8 under par. American Austin Gracer, Swede Daniel Svard, Garrison Smith, and Adam Duncan, all at 8 under par. Cole Anderson 1 shot back at 7. Now, it wasn't a great end to the round today for Breezy Ben's Braxton Kuntz, but he is still right in the mix right now. He had a brilliant 5 under 65 yesterday, had a tough end to his round today. He started on the back 9, so he was playing the front 9. A couple early bogeys, managed to make 3 straight birdies, get to 6 under, but he bogeyed the 7th, and then unfortunately double bogeyed his 9th hole to go 2 over for the round, which took him from 5 under, which was a tie for 13th, down to a tie for 34th. But still playing the weekend, going to be getting a check, and let's see what Braxton can do on moving day. Let's see, what are they projecting the cut? They're projecting the cut to be -2. So of the Canadians right now that are -2 or better, Ashton McCullough, Johnny Travale, they're both playing right now. Joey Savoie and the top Canadian on PGA Tour Americas, Etienne Papineau, they are 3 under par right now. Noah Steele's at 3. We mentioned Braxton is at 3. Pearson Hunt is also in the clubhouse at 3 under. Canadian Peyton Collins, he's at 4 under, which is tied for 19th. And the top Canadian on the board also T19, Brady McKinley. So good luck to Braxton in particular. All the Canadians making the cut. And be a great place to go this weekend. Get out to Elmhurst and take in the best golf you'll see in the province all year long. Just while we're talking golf, BMW Championship, JJ Spawn, 10 under par. He's in first place, 1 shot ahead of Chris Gotterup, Sungjae Im, Gary Woodland, and Wyndham Clark. Rory McIlroy's in at 7 under. Victor Hovland is at 6 under. Where is Scotty Scheffler, though? Scotty Scheffler at one point was last in the tournament yesterday. He went 5 under today, though. 65 for Scheffler. He's now moved all the way up to T23 with 36 holes left to play. Can he spot the entire field a full round and still win? We'll see right now, but Scotty's 7 shots back of JJ Spawn heading into tomorrow's action. All right, Connor, no, I guess you probably don't have the themes, do you?
I do. Well, I have one.
Oh,
I just have
one.
I just have the OG. I don't have the choice. I'm not going to sit here going, which one should I play? I have a Marbles song, though.
The full library. All right, well, it's going to be Marbles. And by the way, we're going to do the main marble race. And then for those of you that just like watching us do marble races, stick around because we will determine the draft order for the Winnipeg Media Fantasy Football League. I know the fellas are all looking forward to see where they pick. But let's get a little Tristan Rivers music and then let things go on with marbles on a Friday.
It's Friday!
Marbles.
There we go.
All right, it's marbles time on WST Remus on holidays, but Connor has come through before in the clutch, and I think it sounds like we're good to go. Are we not, my friend?
I believe we are. Let me just fire it up here now. MC Stormy, thank you for the recommendation. I couldn't find the track, so we're just going to keep it simple. Slippery Slopes. We're going OG song and one of the OG tracks today.
Christmas
on
in
Marbles.
August.
Yes, Christmas. How about that? Yeah. Everyone's doing the Christmas in July for all of our Winnipeg sports teams. But yes, I have it ready to go. 198 marbles plus one. The plus one being Hustler in all caps.
I'm coming.
There you
I've
go.
still never
But
won.
we should be good to go here.
Mine.
Let me bring it up on stream here, then we'll be good to go.
You know what I'm gonna do while we do this race? I'm gonna go back to last Friday's show, and I'm gonna figure out what the track was we used for the draft order one. All right, almost 200, 199 in the hopper. It is the Slippery Slopes all-time track on WST. Let's do it. Dropping the marbles heading into the weekend on Winnipeg Sports Talk with Connor, today's maestro of the marbles.
Yeah, and like I said last time, any comments on the camera work or lack thereof is an automatic ban. Just a heads up.
Yeah. Come on, work with us here,
I'm
folks.
kidding,
Work
I'm
with
kidding.
us here. All right, we
I
got
kid.
Charlie Dufault, Jen Rands, Dave Asplin, Seabreeze, Michelle Hart, all looking good early on. Okay, let's
18 over
skip
par.
that. Okay, here we are. Oh yeah, twists and turns. Okay, what do we got here? CJ, THP Power is in the mix. Amy Weeb in the top 10 right now. Son of Dirk, Big Maple. A lot of talk in the lock shop today about today's race. The ESTers are coming.
Well,
They're
I clicked the no EST button, so
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great. We know. It's been pretty close. Dr. Terry chilling out at Pinawa today. Going to be playing Pinawa this weekend and hopefully seeing the good doctor tomorrow. Yep. The DAF tournament, Divots and Friends. Can't wait.
yes, of course.
Great. Many divots. Great friendship. Should be a fun.
Great friendship.
Have you ever played Pinawa before, Connor?
No, I have not. I'm playing
Sweet
Bridges
track.
tomorrow, though, and I'm
Oh,
looking
yeah?
forward to that for the first time. I don't think I've ever played there, so yeah.
Nicely done. All
Yeah.
right, we're moving now towards the skis. The 55-yard line is in first place. Cruiser. Ooh, Amy Weeb just got top roped. 18 over par podcast. What's up, boys? Speaking of golf, check out 18 over par pod. Great stuff on the local golf scene. All right, there we've got some casualties right now. This is always interesting when so many marbles get stuck in on the slippery slopes. And
Oh boy.
some people, oh geez, there is a lot of people getting whacked right now. Royal Sports Greg, I'm just looking down at that list of skulls, hoping that my name is not one of them. All right, who do we got? 18 over par pod. Sean, Seabreeze, Rob Wright's in the mix. We got a bunch of 10 marbles basically right beside each other right now as we get through it. But looks like it's Gitch. Gitch and Sean Liska. Okay, this unbelievable finish right now with everyone going in.
Yeah.
Who's going down the slide first? Who is going to get it?
55-yard line.
Looks like, could it be 55-yard line? Did they make it in? Oh, yes. Pat B just missed it. But it is old school CFL, baby. The 55-yard line is the winner of today's epic marble race on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Mike Cochran, Sea Breeze. Cruiser was second, Sea Breeze. Vinny Toba. Sixth is Devin B. 18 over par pod. You guys did well today. Seventh, Realman Big Maple Bets MMA. What is up, Big Maple? Be running with Big Maple on a wild 10-legger that he dropped in for the race. And better late than never, making it through to the end. There it is. But the 55-yard line, nicely done. All right, let's run down through. There's our top 10. Big Maple and Thor from the 204. Relmio was 8th. Look at Amanda with an 11th place finish today. I see Eagle Eyes there. You can just kind of roll down through it there,
Sure.
Connor. Oh, Drew Doughty. Nicely done, Drew. Nice to have
Doughty.
you in today. THP Power. There's Derek Schmidt. Danielle Roy with a nice finish. Danielle. Where's the rest of the queue? Where's Michelle? There's Hockey Guy, Jeffrey Dumont, Stickman, Uncle Dizzo. Uncle Dizzo. Shout out to Uncle Dizzo. He was rocking the WST gear.
Incredible.
Courtside for the CEBL final. Oh, Bozeman did finish today, as did Wayne Bretzky and Candyman. And then as we go down, everybody else met an unfortunate demise before getting into the hopper at the end. Yeah, there's me. There's Hasbeek. There's pretty much everyone. All right, 55-yard line. Well done. I think that's the first ever win for the 55. All right, Connor. So now, am I mistaken? I thought we had a 10-team league, or sorry, a 12-team league. Is it
We
just
do.
10?
We do. I have 12 names.
Okay.
I have 12 names for the for this.
Oh, there must be two people that aren't in the chat. But listen, this is the one that we'll use is look up twists and turns.
Okay. Let me just I got to get the names here. I've got me, Josh Fry Sam, Jeff Hamilton, Joey Slattery, Huss, Remo, Mike McIntyre, Scott Billick, Ed Tait, Darren Bombing, John Hodge, Taylor Allen. Sounds about right.
Yes. Because I'm just looking at the chat, and there's no Hodge and there's no Josh. So yeah, we've got everybody else.
What was the name of that one?
Twists. Put in twists. It should come up. Twists and turns.
Twists and turns. This looks even more bands if for camera work issues. Okay. I've got 12 names in here.
Okay, guys. So this is the draft order race for the Winnipeg Media League. Everyone's getting a marble. And in the event, this is a low DQ track. But let's say a couple guys do get top roped and don't finish. It will be in reverse order. So the first guy to get top roped, that's the 12th pick. Like, we'll basically see a race order at the end, including the finishes. If more than one marble is out, whoever stayed on and in the race longer will be higher than the other player. We are playing for first. We're playing for all of our picks.
Yes.
In the WST Fantasy League.
Where do you want, Huss? Where do you want to finish here?
Well, I'd love to get Gibbs. I mean, if you told me I was going to get one, it would be great. I mean, in my other draft I did this week, I had the 9th pick. And I ended up getting James Cook, who I maybe picked a couple picks earlier than he's been going. But then I got Justin Jefferson in the second round. So I love the way my first couple of picks actually turned out.
Okay, I'm hitting go.
So here you are. So everyone's in. We've got Josh, we've got John, me, Taylor, Connor, Bombing, Eddie Tait, Hammer, Slattery, Mike, Remus, and Billick. Good luck to you all, but not too good luck. Let's fire it off into the big funnel. And here we go. for the Media League draft order for today. What about you? What would your preferred finish be?
I think like third, you're guaranteed, or maybe like fourth. Like you're at 3, you're guaranteed one of like Bijan, Gibbs, or Jamar Chase, who I think are like the 3 best players in fantasy football. And then you get a little bit earlier on the turn. So like anywhere in that 3 to 4 range where you're still in tier 1, but you still get the good picks coming back the other way as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind, but yeah, 101 and getting Gibbs would be great as well. I hate drafting like 7th, in a 12-team league. So
Oh yeah, it's just long in between all of it. All right, who's looking good here? Hodge is in first. Taylor and Josh. I'm not even in the top 10.
No.
Like, come on.
You're way back. I'm way back there too. Me and you are at the 1-2 turn right now.
Yeah, by the way, it's reverse order of finish.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Say that halfway through.
So it looks like I'm going to probably be in a similar. I mean, I don't mind actually being really late in the first round and getting the 2 picks.
I'd rather be 12th than 7th.
The early 4th round pick. The early 4th round pick can often be really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's John. It's Josh. Remus is in the mix. Taylor's there.
You and I are way back there, Huss.
Yeah, like we're not even on the screen.
We won't be getting accused of rigging this one. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. We didn't do a very good job.
No, Josh.
All right. It looks like Josh is in first. Although, did Josh just get stopped by Reem? No, Josh is still coming down. It looks like Josh first, Remus second, Eddie third, Taylor 4, Billick's in at 5, Slattery 6, Bombing 7, John Hodges 8th.
Oh, I'm coming in last,
Mike
I think.
McIntyre 9. Oh my God, this really is you and me. Oh my God.
This didn't go according to plan, Huss.
We're going to be sniping each other all draft.
At least I got the turn. I'm okay with that a little bit, but
all right. So there's the order. I'm going to take a picture. Josh is going to get Gibbs.
Yeah,
wow,
for sure.
Remus is going to get Bijan. Eddie is going to have his pick of the litter. We're PPR, right, in this league?
I think so. How about the Blue Bombers account? Have to think this is Ed. We wanted 3 all along. It's all coming together.
It's all coming together. That's right. Well, good on Eddie. I mean, you'd think we'd done these marbles long enough that we might be able to have a little bit better of a play for the 2 guys that are literally on the show executing it. But
yes,
as he said, no one's going to try to accuse us of rigging anything. That's for sure.
Yes, Team Ed and Team Josh.
See it. Yeah. Dude, the end. Yes, that's right. Josh is with Eddie on the squad this year. Hammer. You, me, and Hammer are going to be screwing each other every round, every pick.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun, though. So there you have it. Big Wednesday. We'll have a full report of our teams.
Yes.
On Thursday's show after we make it happen. But congratulations to Josh. Remo gets second. Not even here today. Just kicking back.
Take the week off. Yeah.
Probably check it later on. Oh, second pick. Nice.
What's our reward for being here all week, Huss? 11th and 12th. What a joke.
Yeah. Okay. I have to see what I picked for the Bomber game tonight in the Cool Bet League. What did you have last night?
I had the Alouettes by a lot. I think I had them 42-21. And the final score was 46-16 or something. So I was just a couple points off from getting the Alouettes score. I knew they'd be in the 40s. Like, they're going up against Ottawa, right? But yeah, I was close, but I got the +5 with Montreal. But I would assume everyone got that?
Yeah, there's no one that was picking Ottawa
No.
last night. There's more of a chance. I'm just looking and checking what I had last night. Oh!
No.
Ottawa 16.
No, stop. Oh,
Yes. And you know what the worst thing was?
Come
I predicted 38-16. And they got that late BS touchdown. I mean,
very BS.
I was close to nailing that thing right off the bat. But yes, 16. I just realized that right now. Well, hey, maybe this is my week. And you know what? Now that I get the extra 10 points there, I don't mind it. I'm going to try and make up some ground, some people, because I'm on the Bombers tonight. I got Winnipeg 27, Edmonton 24.
You're on
That
the
could
Bombers. Wow. Okay.
Our parlay could happen with both teams scoring 20.
Yeah.
And then I've got the opposite score. I got 27-24 Argos over Hamilton. And I'm going to take BC. I'm going to take BC on this one. But well, what a start. This could be, I'm probably in the lead right now.
Let's wrap the show.
And this is good. You guys are all chasing me in our head-to-head bet. Anyways, yeah, we can have some fun.
No,
it has been long. We got to get the podcast up. Thanks to all the sponsors, of course, that make the show happen each and every day. Podcast listeners, everyone in for Marbles and watching on YouTube on the chat. Connor, great job this week. So much fun doing the show with you.
Yes.
The whole gang will be back next week. And then I'm going to be gone for a couple of weeks as we get into September. And then it's all hands on deck for hockey season when we get going with training camp. But thanks to Ed, Hacksaw, Jeff Hamilton, and again, congratulations again to Jackson Chichinski. Really appreciated him coming on the program. Folks, have a great weekend. Don't forget, 9 a.m. on Monday morning will be the WST Bomber Report with Connor and Schnitzy. Full breakdown of tonight's game and a look ahead to next week against the Montreal Alouettes. And we will be back with Remus in tow next Monday to start off a whole nother week of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Thanks for being with us and have a great weekend.
Oh my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.